Hello and welcome to the third ever induction to the Easy Allies Hall of Greats. This takes a lot of explanation, everyone, so we're just going to get all the explanation off the top, just get it out of the way. The Hall of Greats is our Hall of Fame. It's the games that we believe are truly the greatest video games of all time. We used to have debates of if a game is one of the greats or not.
Used to?
We used to. Now we don't.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now we don't anymore. You can't say one of the greats unless it is.
Isn't that exactly
We don't bicker about it anymore. It's been great. It's
Yes.
been really good
We
for
have
us.
structured debates
Yes.
over which games are one of the greats every 3 months.
Our current
Nothing left but the crying at this point.
the games in the current Hall of Greats are Metal Gear Solid,
Yeah. Good game.
Super Metroid,
Yeah.
Super Mario 64,
Oh
Very
yeah.
good game. Very
and
good game.
Street Fighter 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
And the way this works is each of the 9 Easy Allies has brought one game to represent, to make a case for. We talk about for 5 minutes about why we think it's one of the greats. Our patrons have decided to allow us to do audio and video and enhancements to our speeches, and so that is something you might see a lot more of this particular time. After that 5 minutes, we then have 5 minutes of debate, of devil's advocate, 5 minutes of the rest of us trying to pick apart that game, make it earn its way into the Hall of Greats as fiercely as possible. We're being mean, but we're being a little cute when we're mean. Nobody should take any of it personally. Just trying to make sure that each game earns its way in.
Hubert will take it personally.
Hubert does take it very personally.
personally.
At the end of all that, we vote. We give each game 1, 2, or 3 points. We can only assign one of those point assignments. And the 2 games with the most points are allowed into the Hall of Greats. Did I forget anything?
yes.
Huh.
If something does not receive any votes, what happens?
Okay, yeah. So if a game doesn't get any votes beside from yourself, if no one else votes for your game, even a 1 point, that game is banned from the Hall of Greats for 1 year. We can't even bring it up. Currently, we have 2 games banned. We have, was it SimCity 2000?
SimCity 4.
SimCity 4 and World of Warcraft may not be brought up in the Hall of Greats. Hey, for only 9 more months now. You made it through.
Oh, good. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
World of Warcraft can come back in 9 months.
Can't wait.
I'm picking a Jones.
one is allowed to
Yeah,
pick.
I'm picking it. I'm taking it.
Everyone votes for it.
Yeah.
No, and then a 5 minute no one really brings up any counterpoints.
You didn't bring up Grizzly Hills, Jones. That's why I didn't get in, man.
And just to make this clear, I tried to be super positive this time, making sure that nobody has doubled down, that no 2 people are bringing the same game to the Hall of Greats. The only thing I'm not sure about is Don has not told me what game he's bringing. He refused to. He said, "I will not." Yeah, I said, "I will not tell you what game I'm bringing."
Man of mystery.
But I promise no one else is bringing it, so we'll see.
What are you picking for Hall of Grace this Tuesday?
No!
It was that, yeah. It was I refused.
No, it was very polite.
It was not very polite. And so the way we choose order is we go back to our old tarot cards, and Jones picks a personality off the top of the tarot card.
Cut the deck first, please.
Cut the
Cut
deck!
that
David,
deck so many
stat.
times.
This visibly cut it? All
Cut it.
Wait, well, I
Well,
shuffled
actually,
it.
you know what? Technically, Huber should cut
I
it.
want to see it cut.
Yeah.
Jones can cut.
No, you cut.
Cut the
Okay.
deck. Cut the deck.
This
Have
makes me
Angel
first.
cut it.
Still want to be first, Huber.
All right.
I don't want to be anywhere other than.
I don't want to
eighth.
be anywhere other than 18.
Okay, here
The
we go.
first person
Yeah.
for the third Hall of Greats will be me.
Rigged.
Yeah!
Okay.
Rigged.
Take the center, Jones. Take the center.
All right.
Who's gonna be Jones' timer?
I
You.
can do it.
Cool.
I have a
I need
phone.
my phone.
I don't want it
Wait. Life's
to be.
over. What comes after that? Again. Again? Or
Will it?
Into me.
Grave digger.
So Jones, you tell us when you want to start.
All right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, whoever's doing the timer
I'm
can.
timing.
You tell me,
Right.
baby.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so recently we all got our dreams. Everybody got dreams. Shenmue 3 is happening. Yeah, it's dreams. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Dreams.
Yeah, okay.
It's 1E3, but we're all cashing in. Smoke clears, and everybody's thinking, what's left, you know? feels like we got all those classic things we were waiting on for so many years. It seems like there's nothing left, but of course there's something left. There will always be something left, and that thing wouldn't mean anything. Nobody would care. Nobody would want that if Half-Life 2 was not one of the greatest video games of all time.
Jones going for the win. Going for the jugular.
All right. I'm rattling off. I got my favorite things about the game right here, so there's not going to be a super cohesion between all these things, but I got to fit them in 5 minutes. No cutscenes in the entire game. None. The entire game is linear. Basically, how it's broken up is that the game will freeze, and then we'd be like, hold on, let me load this next part. Okay, now you can keep going. Even today, in 2017, that's not something that a lot of games can pull off. No cutscenes. Not even in the intro. Not like, well, yeah, but there's like, while the game is just waiting, like there's this little intro thing that kind of sets up the context. And then when you get into the story, you are completely immersed as that character, as Gordon Freeman, the entire time. And I think that's really remarkable and something that modern games could learn from. Your character does not talk. And unlike a lot of games where the protagonist doesn't talk, the characters affirm that in the game. They will ask you questions and you will not reply, and they'll be like, oh, I guess you're not talking. So like, I like that they don't skirt past that. That's actually like a character of like a reveal of Gordon Freeman is that like he's all business. Like he does not, he is choosing not to talk. He's choosing to make his actions louder than his words. And I like that the game is aware of that and comments on that, and isn't just kind of like, oh, well, we are having a conversation. You just don't hear like his side of it. It must have been so rewarding, and I did not know this because I did not play Half-Life 1. I just went into Half-Life 2. But like after having played Half-Life 2 and then going back to Half-Life 1 and going into a sequel, and granted the reason why this is true is because it took so long for them to make Half-Life 2, but to where everything is upgraded. All of the weapons, you bump into all of the, like so many characters that you knew from Half-Life 1, and everything is up-resed. And so I think that it's like you kind of see these incremental updates and sequels, and I just think the difference visually is so impressive between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2. I know if you haven't played Half-Life 2, or if you're thinking now, like, yeah, sure, I'll just pick it up on Steam and I'll go back and play it. Like, yes, Half-Life 2 cannot compete with, the visuals of modern-day shooters, but you look at the gap between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, and I think that is an incredible achievement that they pulled off with the visuals in 2. There's a huge plot gap from Half-Life 1, but like I said, I had not played Half-Life 1 and jumped into 2, then went back and played Half-Life 1, then went back and played Half-Life 2, and enjoyed it both times. And so I think that's really neat that if you've played Half-Life 1, there's all of these great character reunions, it's the significance of the crowbar, like having all of these things mean something, having these aliens be enemies in the first game, but they're your friends in the second game, and then intentionally taking those fans and just throwing them right into the sequel. You're like, I don't know how I got on this train, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing now, but if you had not played Half-Life 1, and again, you're just also being thrown into the game as well. So I like that. I think you can enjoy the game equally if you have experience with Half-Life 1 or if you're just going in for the first time. One of my favorite things about Half-Life 2 is that you're never doing the same thing ever throughout the entire game. Like, I've never played a shooter that changes so drastically. Like, 1 minute, you're driving in a car and getting out to get supplies or open up gates, and then getting back in the car and driving some more. And you have, like, a laser that can shoot things while you're driving. And then later you're on a building while things are, like, scrambling up the sides of the building, and you're defending yourself with shotguns. And then later you're taking panels with your gravity gun and planting them in front of you so you don't touch the earth, so these things don't jump up at you. And I just think it's so remarkable in how, when I go back and play Half-Life 2 and I get to a position, it's not like, oh, this was like the library in Halo, like, oh, the library again. It's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about this part. This is so exciting. I forgot about just this little 30-second chunk of this amazing video game. And it's scary, it's funny, it's sad, it's lonely, it's epic. It's one of the biggest cliffhangers. It's the Empire Strikes Back in video game that never got a Return of the Jedi. So we're just stuck with Empire, just wondering, like, I'm sure this has got a good ending, but we'll never get to that. And just the gravity gun is one of the single most rewarding armaments in the history of shooters. And so I think that is a phenomenal amount of things to say just about one game. Way too much to fit into 5 minutes, but think by a nose. There it is. Half-Life 2.
Time.
Are we counting episode 1 and 2 expansions?
No.
I was wondering that.
Nope.
Okay.
Half-Life 2.
I can use it.
Even though it's Half-Life 2, episode 1, and
Wait, is this part of the questioning?
That's my
We
question.
got 5 minutes of questioning.
Yeah, I want to know.
that's
It
the
is
idea.
a big deal because
But
to
those are
me,
separate things.
because to me, Half-Life 2 Episode 2 is
Right.
the culmination.
So like
True.
Street Fighter was up to Blood, I think the answer to that question is up to Jones.
Okay.
True. I think I will allow it. I don't think it's necessary. I don't need those 2 episodes to add a value that is missing from Half-Life 2. The episode 2 has a just painful cliffhanger, but Half-Life 2 episode 2, but Half-Life 2 also has a pretty crazy cliffhanger, and that the game kind of knows is a massive cliffhanger. The game it kind of jokes at you with characters to say like, we know you're pissed. The game just ended, but oh well.
What's the game about?
The game is about oppression. The game is about a world. It's about how to build a revolution. It's about the difference that just one person can make, and how a whole race of aliens, a whole like group of revolutionaries can be inspired by just one person. That just one person can make a difference and can show other people basically like what one person can do, so that even if Gordon Freeman's not around, I'm still gonna fight because I can see what one person's capable of doing. You see yourself inspiring those people. Like you stumble across people that are in the middle of fighting, that are in the middle of conversations. They're like, oh, what are you doing here? It's not like Gordon Freeman showed up, everybody's gonna talk to me now. Like you definitely feel like you're a part of that world. Some people know who you are, some people aren't.
I would
but
say
you can see your impact.
To debate you're a part of the world, people don't react to you ever. When you're hopping around in one of these non-cut scenes, nobody says, stop hopping around.
Correct.
Get off of me. No one would ever say that.
Correct. People will follow you with eye contact though. So I haven't been in conversations in that game where like the conversation won't start until I walk up and they address me. Oh, hi, Gordon. Yes. Well, let me explain this.
Yeah.
So I think that while you are correct, I think that is another thing that is very impressive to me about the storytelling. That like if I'm like moving up to someone, they actively will stop and like look right at me. And I remember at the time in shooters, like nobody was doing that.
How's the lip sync?
Excellent. Following excellent lip sync in the first Half-Life, which I believe was one of the first shooters, if not first video games, to have lip syncing across the board, every character through the entire game.
Do you find that the lip sync in that game ruined future games for you?
It did. I was spoiled. Ever since then.
Jones, would you say there's bad parts? Would you say there's bad sections of the game?
I would say that depends on what you like to do in shooting. I know some people just hate platforming and first-person shooters, period.
Yeah.
And there's a bit where you gotta like get under a bridge. And I like that because it's terrifying for me because you're looking down at this huge plummet that you got to get to the other side, and then like stuff starts showing up and shooting at you.
I'm thinking of the sewer section with like the tongues.
Yeah.
Do you like that part?
Oh, it's creepy. Oh, I mean, you can see them coming if you're careful. You can see those things.
Yeah.
And again, like the game has a lot of funny moments. It's got a lot of epic moments. A lot of moments where you feel empowered. But like, there's nothing like one of those things grabbing you and you look up and it's like sucking you into its mouth and like it's creepy. You know, it's like a face hugger grabbing hold of you, or like the flood grabbing you and running up your arm. You know, like fun thing to do in a shooter. But yeah, lots of super creepy moments. Like I remember being confused, like what genre it was. Like I remember like finishing a part where I like run up a staircase and like being out of breath and like talking to people because I played it at GT on a PC there in the office and being like, oh my god, I didn't know this game was scary. And they're like, this game is a lot of things. Like there's each little 30-minute slice is. Fear is funny, is action, is drama.
Last criticism, Jones. Should we reward a game that raised a lot of questions that may have never been intended to be answered?
I don't think you can write a game like Half-Life 2 and not have the answers. I don't think creatively there was any Valve felt like stunted in any way.
You think they know exactly what the G-Man is?
Yes.
I think the Valve committee knows nothing about.
I think they're Valve is a corporation. I don't know if all of them got to read the treatment for Half-Life 3, but there are human beings that live on planet Earth that know what's going on in that story and know.
Okay.
And know where it is going. And it was definitely it is going somewhere. It's still going there. You can go and finish Half-Life 2 right now, and you think, gosh darn it, I can't wait for the sequel to that game. I can't wait to see where we pick up and leave off.
You'll never see it.
But probably won't.
We will.
25 seconds remain.
But
any other questions?
That's why it stings.
Damiani's got a question.
Do I?
Yeah.
Go fast.
Do I?
Question, pal.
I don't know. You hate Half-Life.
Tell me about the shotgun, Jones.
It's a good one. I don't remember anything specifically about. They give it to you in a part of the game where you need it. They give it to you in Ravenholm, which is the definitely the creepiest part of that game.
Legendary.
So when you have these things climbing up over the edge of a rooftop and you just boom.
Good time.
Ravenholm. You should have
Just
gone to Ravenholm earlier, Jones.
Ravenholm.
That's good, Jones.
Thank you.
All right.
So, Jones, now
You gotta pull your card, dude.
Next up, Brad.
Yeah.
Every time it's not me, I'm like, oh, thank God.
That just means that you're like coming, you know?
It's like school. I like to go get it.
Nope.
I'm kind of with you.
Get that time started.
Oh shit.
Jones, I'll take that back.
Let me know when you're ready, Ian.
Oh, you ready? You tell me when
I'm
you're
ready,
and then
dude.
I'll give you a
I'm
count,
ready.
Okay?
Alright.
Damiani, you
I got
set?
your thing ready. So just tell me.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Last time went for the real easy win. Got it. Going retro. This time we're going something a little more familiar. About
Must be
a
nice.
year old. This is a game I would rather show first than talk about. Roll it, Damiani.
Oh, interesting feelings.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yes.
What game is that?
Call of Duty.
Not an easy win, but dude. Oh my god, okay, so this game takes the original Doom formula we all grew up loving, especially Huber and Ben over there, and it blends it into our generation, I think, in the most respectful way possibly done. Doom is a game about, not necessarily about story, it's there though, this game is about shooting demons and rocking out to badass music. Like, if that trailer did not get you hyped up, you can leave chat right now. Alright? And if stay in this room, you can get out of this room right now. Because that was awesome, dude. Now, this game is not necessarily just your narrow hallways either, man. This game is like about shooting, of course, but there's also exploration if you want it there, man. They got all those little secret Doom guys hidden out there. They got the old Doom environments you can go to, just like Wolfenstein. This game, oh my god, dude. It's hard for me to like say words about this game because I just think about shooting demons in the face and how awesome it is. Like, do you remember the first time you get a chainsaw that game and you just go bing, and that ammo comes flying out of them? Dude, top tier stuff. The story is cool. It's about people harnessing the energy of hell off Mars, which is awesome. Of course, it goes wrong and all that cool stuff. Some cool characters in there, like the robot. I forgot his name, but he's awesome as hell. Dude, when you get to hell in this game,
Great villain.
when you get to hell in this game, man, insanity. You feel it. And the cool thing about this game is the demons are afraid of you in this game. You are the Doom Slayer. You're a legend among these guys. They all know who you are. And they know for goddamn good reason. Like, I don't even know what else to say about this game. I'm done. That's it.
Okay.
Like, what else do I gotta say, man?
You have 1:50 left.
Just
You're
play
allowed
it.
to cut short if you want to.
Just play it, man. That's it. Just
Send
play
me
it,
a
man.
message.
If you like shooting stuff,
Mental
just play
damage.
this fucking game right now.
Mental damage.
Sharp and to the point, just like Doom.
Brad, do you cede the rest of your time?
Yeah, I don't even need to say anything else.
Okay.
That's it.
Timer stop. The 5 minutes of questioning will begin when the first question is uttered.
I got a question.
Let me hear it.
That multiplayer isn't very good.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, but that's not. It's a tacked off version. I'll give you that. But the main strength of that game is the campaign. 100%. The multiplayer was a total add-on effect for people not wanting to resell it.
Corporate suits.
Like, I don't even care about the multiplayer in that game at all. It doesn't even fucking matter because the single player, that's where it's at, dude. Man, when you turn to a demon multiplayer though, Ben, you can't tell me that's pretty sick. You can't tell me that's not cool. ripping a dude's face off. Tell me it's not cool.
It's pretty cool.
It's alright.
Better tell it.
That's right. That's right. That's what I thought.
Brad.
Yo.
I love Doom. This is a great pick. This game is phenomenal. However, it caused me great pain because I was so psyched when this game came out, specifically for the snap map feature.
The snap
The
map.
moment I got the game, before I even started playing the game, I started doing the snap map.
Standard dawn practice.
I played the game as well, though, and I loved it. But the problem was, I was designing this elaborate map, and never before. It was a great level editor, but I came across such horrible bugs which destroyed my map in really discouraging ways, right? Where I'd have to rebuild whole areas because they're not functioning right, this and that. Now, from what I've heard, they patched it, but it literally made me kind of give up because it was like massive amounts of progress
Man, I
that
saw,
you had
like-
to just walk back on, and that is like a just you
Man,
know,
that's a good
it's
point,
really
Dong. I
hard.
can't argue that. Like
Now,
bugs.
that's not the central core of the game, obviously, but it's a big feature. So that's the
Sure,
only
yeah.
problem I had.
Not
with
to
it.
mention that bug that sucked us into hell.
Oh yeah,
It's dangerous.
Besides the fact,
Hey man, when you're
we're still
playing,
here on this plane of existence,
We got
thanks
back,
to that
but-
bloody
when you're
game.
playing Doom,
dangerous.
you're playing with fire. You gotta know that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I got
Brad,
burned. I got
Brad,
burned.
can I tell you my impression of the way the game's played?
Sure.
It seems like you walk into a lot of rooms where walls pop up, demon walls, and then you're just stuck
There
in there
is some
until you
like
kill
that
all
for
the
sure.
enemies.
There is a
Is that like
blend.
the entire game?
No.
Yeah, and it's fucking awesome.
No, it's not the entire game. There's definitely points of exploration where there's guys in the way. That's like, there are certain counters are set up because they design these specific areas, Kyle, and they want you, like, it's a game about speed and mobility, so they put you in certain areas with really cool, like, platform you can go through and everything like that. There are areas like that, but there's more your classical just going through a hallway and blowing some dude's face off. It's there if you want it.
Tell me about the shotgun, Brad.
Which one?
Both of
Both good. Both good. Hubert, adding on that additional, like, what, triple shot to that thing, dude? Boom, 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 boom. Taking that Hell Knight, dude? Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I love that you can't upgrade the double barrel.
You don't
They
need to.
respect it.
Exactly.
It's just like, here it is. It's
They're like,
done.
we're not touching
It's
this.
done.
Go nuts.
So say it's 3017.
Yes.
You've gotten 5 other Dooms in that time. Where like it's like every like 30 or 40 years we like get a new Doom. They like remake, they'll call it Doom again. So like hundreds of years from now, what's gonna make this Doom especially stand out? Or is this a kind of franchise where like they can just come back to it every 20 years?
I don't know. Like,
If
what if
it
they
ain't broke,
fucking
don't
make
fix it.
Half-Life 3? What's gonna make Half-Life 2 stand out? Like,
We're not talking about Half-Life 2.
I don't know. I think that's a really weird and unusual point. You could say that about any game out.
No, I'm just saying, is there something that makes this stand out as opposed to the original? Like something that like the original couldn't do just because of technical
Just the
limitations?
fucking way it looks, Jones. The mobility. The mobility you cannot do in the old ones.
It's true.
Damiani's in, alright.
Okay, so this is Hall of Greats. So the game's being judged on every part of it.
Sure.
And as Ben said, the multiplayer isn't that good.
It's
So
fun.
looking at other great shooters like Halo, like GoldenEye, they have arguably really good campaigns and multiplayer.
Dude, Halo 1 has a terrible
Halo-
campaign.
Well, Halo 2.
Well, not terrible. Some bad parts.
GoldenEye.
Calm down, everybody.
GoldenEye is a good one. Like,
Yeah.
Some shooters have both parts. Like I'd say Titanfall 2 has
Sure.
a really great
Yeah.
campaign. But I liked it more than Doom. I played both.
Sure.
Half-Life 2 is
So,
Counter-Strike.
how do you defend this? How
Separate.
do you defend the multiplayer, like the whole game?
I can't, like,
you can
the-
dismiss it as like, oh, you're playing for the single player, but they clearly put multiplayer.
Yes,
in
I
it.
know. That's like, I'm not saying this is the most flawless game. I'm thinking this is an awesome game that deserves respect and attention. It does have some faults, sure, maybe. You can find a fault with any game, I feel like. But I feel like what's there is good enough in multiplayer. It's fun, still, it's fun. It's not gonna blow you away. It's not the next Counter-Strike or anything like that, but it's fun. You can have a good time with it.
That's why you.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just being Brad, tell me
20
about the
seconds.
secrets.
What about them?
Do you think they're well designed? Like, did you
I
feel
think
like exploration
they
was
encourage
meaningful
you.
in the game?
I think it does because it definitely encourages you to go to different areas you've never been to in the level, per se. And like those levels are huge, Huber, sprawling. Not just narrow highways, like we said, the big open areas like that.
Time.
Sometimes, damn.
Well done, Brad. Well done.
Good sit, good sit.
Play it. You gotta pull this card. Play it.
Alright, who is it?
Who is it? Who is it?
Let me pull this up. So you can show it.
Fucking Hubert.
Strength.
Nice strength.
Strength. Oh no, I put it on the other. Yeah. Huber just keeps getting
Got it.
pulled over.
This is
Hello. Play it. I don't care. Just play it. Just play it. I don't have any visual things.
Cool.
So.
Are you ready?
Don't need it.
3,
Yeah,
2,
just count me down.
1, go.
Cool. My favorite thing in video games is characters. Characters first and foremost. Yeah, a lot of favorite things. Bloodwood knows. Characters that I want to get invested in their story, their emotions, and The Last of Us is the game that I'm picking for one of the greats, because of so many reasons. The first of which are the characters and the story, because Ellie is a character that I wanted to help her along her journey, but it's not like you see her grow throughout the entire journey of The Last of Us, right? She's tough as hell. She's grown up in this environment. She doesn't take any shit. She can handle herself. But as time goes on, she gets more and more disheartened and disconnected from this world. And The Last of Us also just has moments. You know, I think of a famous thing from Guillermo del Toro. Ian and I talked about it. Guillermo del Toro is all about, like, having lasting images in your brain, you know, and that's his idea of a successful story. And The Last of Us has a ton of these, and I always come back to when Ellie snaps and just is wailing away on David with a machete, who, by the way, is such a small portion of this game. Like, sometimes it's easy to forget how long this journey is, and it's like these arcs within this game, and they are all like, when they come together, it's amazing, but they also can stand alone on themselves. Like the beginning with Tess, who doesn't get a lot of screen time, but is still such a memorable character. And you know, Naughty Dog, one of Naughty Dog's strengths too is writing. Just every character is fully realized. Learning about Bill and his like boyfriend that hung himself. And again, that's kind of optional too. You can kind of go to this house and find this document, and you can choose whether to give it to him or not. And that kind of ties into the story. And just the way it lets you freely explore the environment. It's not open world, which, good, I don't want it to be. It is a linear game, but it still feels like this realistic space you are in, and it's like you're traveling across the country to get to the Fireflies to like rescue, you know, basically humanity. That's pretty much everything about the story, but then there's the gameplay, you know, which I absolutely love to death. Because if you put this game on the harder difficulties, you really have to immerse yourself within this world. You have to use sound as much as visuals. You have to hear where the enemies are. You have to be patient. Clickers are dangerous. There's so many combat scenarios in this game. Sure, there's a lot of times when you go in and you blast away some guys, but they also mix it up by having like multiple floors and environments. People will be upstairs, or people will be in like some back room. There'll be times when like you're not well equipped and you have to escape through the environment. There'll be times when it's pitch black, or when you're outside or inside, and just a lot of variety in that sense. And again, it's just how impactful it is. Like, if I see a clicker, I don't care how many bullets I have, like, I'm nervous, I'm scared, and it feels good to just get through like each combat encounter. And the multiplayer too, like, this is not just some simple throwaway addition. Like, the multiplayer in this game is really good. It's small scale encounters, and it just takes the strength of the Uncharted combat without making it feel artificial at all, because, like, you know, you're not fighting against a computer. Like, sure, there's gonna be people like cheesing it in the back with sniper rifles, but again, like, nothing beats fighting against a real world opponent. And, you know, they found a way to kind of tie it into the campaign too, of like, you know, you choose both sides, Firefly Saviors, you're progressing through the seasons trying to survive, like gaining supplies, losing supplies. It was just a unique multiplayer, and I thought it had so much, like, it just added such a meaningful part to an already incredible campaign. So that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Yeah. All right.
10 seconds to spare.
Sweet.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Question timer will begin when the first question is uttered.
Let's hear it.
Oh, Jones is ready to go.
Bang bang.
So I love this game, Huber. I love
Yeah.
this campaign.
Yeah.
I go back and I play other campaigns of games I like, Resident Evil 4, your GoldenEye 007, and I like almost all of it.
Yeah.
But I go through Last of Us, and there's definitely parts where I'm like, phew, that part was really cool. Oh, this is the crap with the ladder. Okay, well, I gotta move the ladder here, and then move this thing there, and then put the ladder on the thing, and then move that there. Like, does that begrudge you at all? Like, are there any points in the game where you're on a repeat playthrough, like maybe when HD came out, you were like, oh yeah, this part sucks?
Never ever, Jones.
Or it's just boring now that I know what I have to do?
No, never, because of the writing. Because of the strengths of the writing. It's in those quieter moments when you're going through the BS of like, let me move this thing over here, which again, doesn't even happen that much. There's a couple ladder parts, like definitely less than 10. This is like a 15-hour game. But there's parts when you're like traversing the environment and of course, your brain knows what to do, but like it's the conversations of Ellie and Joel throughout that is continually building the characters that I find refreshing. You know, like when I replay the game, even on New Game Plus, and I get through a combat encounter, I'm exhilarated and also relieved because now I can just chill with Ellie and go through the environment and explore and that.
Huber,
Yeah.
can you think of a game with a more impactful introduction?
No.
Yeah, I can't either.
No. It is. Thank you. I was hoping. I know. It's all no. There are so many moments. You know, again, I think of the intro. I think of the brothers and that payoff. I think of Tess. I think of Bill. I think of the ending, which was polarizing when the game came out. I don't know, like. I'm just gonna say, because I feel like it came out at a time when like open world choice was kind of big at the time, and like create your own character, go through your own journey. Like this is very much Joel and Ellie's story, so I love the ending of this game. You know, because Joel is, you know, kind of a bad person.
Huber, what do you say to the people that say the gameplay sucks?
I will never understand it, Brad. I will never ever understand it because there's so much impact to everything you do. You can the melee combat. You get baseball bats, 2x4s, you know, slamming down on guys. You get the machete, which is really rare, stabbing them. Like you feel every kill. You feel every headshot too. Like one of the most valuable valuable headshots in any video game. You are encouraged to save your ammo. Like every time you miss, your heart skips a beat. You're like, shit, I missed, because you're wasting ammo. Enemies are coming in on you. They're swarming you. Getting that clean headshot feels so good. And it's just cool, like, running around with Joel and Ellie. And again, like, you know, I think of the gameplay, too. Gameplay criticisms, especially with combat. There's a part in the game when Ellie is separated from Joel and the snow is coming on you and you're surrounded by fog and snow, and you really have to use your audio-visual sensors because, like, enemies are coming around. Ellie can't just brute force her way through. She has to be more cautious. She has to use stealth. Like, stealth and action is so big in this game. But like going through with her as stealth, using the bow and arrow, nailing those long range headshots, like again, knowing when to sneak by or eliminate enemies is awesome.
Huber, I have a question. Why can't the clickers hear Ellie?
Why can't the clickers hear Ellie? Like when I'm controlling her,
she definitely gets a pass in that game.
When she like wanders
she'll
through
wander
a
right
shelf
through people
of cans and
For
knocks
sure.
it over entirely, and then you know you make any sound at all and you die immediately.
for sure. Like Brad was saying, you can nitpick on any game. I don't care what it is. It can be the greatest game of all time, and you will be able to pick out a flaw. That bit never bothered me, but I acknowledge that it exists, and if people want to get pulled out of the game, I will totally understand why.
People don't want to be pulled out of the game.
No, I mean, if people get pulled out because of it, I understand it. But it's something that never bothered me.
They can hear Tess too.
It's the gameplay design. They don't want the players to get frustrated because your AI screwed up or
Only
something.
Huber can answer the questions.
No, but yeah.
Gotta learn to lob.
You gotta learn to lob. Yeah.
Too furious.
Too furious.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid criticism that I will accept.
Huber, what do you think about the sections of people versus monsters being kind of artificially separated? You never really get a convincing mix of them. Even when they're shooting at guys, it just feels like a cutscene.
Time.
Burn.
Dang it! All right.
That comment's just gonna hang there.
Yeah, it's kind of like hot potato, huh? Whether you get to finish on an answer or a question.
Question. Yeah.
Man, there's something I didn't bring up too that I'm so bummed out.
I did bring up like 3 or 4 things. Yeah.
3 months.
Next up
3 months.
is Dom.
Who the hell is that?
The ever mysterious.
Right.
Somebody taking notes on these? I guess Kyle's got the list, right?
Damiani's got it.
Yeah, he's.
Can you do me a favor?
The game
After the
names
video
is-
stops
oh, sorry,
playing,
they-
can you just
that's
say
it.
how much
Detailed
time is left? So I know how fast.
I can just show you.
Just
Thank you.
Is everyone ready? I will count.
Let's take a little break, even for people at home.
Jones
Let's wait for
disappeared.
Jones to come in.
Go grab a drink.
If you're just joining us, we are doing the
I'll
Hall
get a
of
drink.
Greats induction. Yeah, it's a good time to take a break, actually. Basically, each of the 9 members of Easy Allies have each brought a game that we've nominated to be inducted into our Hall of Greats, which is our Hall of Fame. It's the games that we believe are truly great, the games that stand above all others as the definitive greats. Just so that we finally have that established. We know among Easy Allies, these are the games that we respect the most collectively. Currently, we have Metal Gear Solid in there.
Yeah.
We have Super Metroid in there. We have Street Fighter 2 in there.
Yeah.
And we have
Mario 64.
Super Mario 64 in there.
Come on.
And so the games that we're debating tonight have to measure up to those 4 games.
You get 5 minutes to pitch it, and then there are 5 minutes of questions that only the pitching person can answer.
That's pretty much it. I guess we'll wait
Huber's
for...
in the bathroom, stall for time.
Okay, we'll keep stalling.
For me.
I'll get some nuggets.
Great.
Kyle, out of the Hall of Greats,
Yeah.
which one is your favorite?
Oh, Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which one do you think got the rawest deal
What do you mean?
out of all the nominees?
Oh,
SimCity 4!
yeah.
I don't remember.
That was a
all
lob.
the movies. Maybe WoW.
World of Warcraft got a raw deal because it is excluded. It cannot be.
But it's because people were voting for better games. You know, they
Yeah.
were. I myself consider some of the games better than World of Warcraft that were nominated that week, so it's tough.
Yeah.
From Japan.
Other interesting points of Hog history. Michael Damiani is undefeated. Daniel Bloodworth is undefeated.
Wow.
Neither.
Wait,
real
it's just the
safe
2 of us
picks.
that have gotten games in?
Yeah, both of your suggestions went in.
Bloodworth had a little help with
you
Street
got
Fighter.
in.
Yeah, that was a
Blood
pity.
selected an
Blood
obvious
had a little help. There was a lob that took place.
Is there like a final comments part where we get to say one more
Nope.
thing?
I'm afraid not, dude.
People within 2.
You ended your speech early too. You had time.
10 seconds.
It's like,
Yeah.
things
Oh, was it
come
really just
later.
10 seconds early? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Brad was the only one to like
Brad had a
significantly
minute
early.
30 left.
What else do I gotta say about it, man?
Nothing.
Fucking Doom.
That's it.
Play it.
That's all I should have said.
Yeah.
And just left.
Go play it.
Yeah, I guess more interesting parts of history is that if there is a tie, our patrons vote on the tie break.
Yeah.
And so the first week we did this, the first month we did it, there was a tie for second between Street Fighter 2, which Ben brought,
Yeah.
and Super Metroid.
Yeah,
which
it got a little
Bloodborne.
political for my taste.
Little lob.
Yeah.
There's some politics involved.
There's
There's some
a
politics.
little political.
Alright, we
We're talking about
ready?
video games.
You ready, Don?
Ready.
Don,
I'm ready, yeah.
You ready, Don?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
You guys-
Ready? Ready?
The timer begins in 3, 2, 1, now.
Good evening. To the ladies and gentlemen of chat, to my wonderful friends who joined me this evening in this garage, I thank you all in advance for giving your serious consideration to this unlikely contender, which I'm about to present to you all. I'm here tonight recalling that last time we came together to deliberate some of the greatest video games, I had presented to you all the best city building simulation game ever made in SimCity 4. And yet, I failed to convince you of it. Tonight, will be different. Simulation is a genre of game which most certainly deserves to have at least one representative in the Hall of Greats. Tonight, my nominee will fill that void. It will do this not simply for being a great sim game, but because it is also the greatest movie licensed game ever created.
Oh my god.
Now, the promise of a movie licensed game is that you can either relive the story told in the film, or in the case of the game I'm presenting tonight, you can exist and play in the world of story created by the film. As we all know, this promise is a very hard thing to successfully deliver, based on the nature of the two mediums, Damiani, film and game. Play it!
What do we get when that promise?
Oh my god.
What happens when the game genre, in this case simulation, happens to be a perfect marriage with the film's world story? You get the following. I present to you all
Echo.
a theme park building sim and a film about the world's greatest theme park. What a fortunate pairing indeed.
This is PC.
In Operation Genesis, you begin by fully terraforming your
Yeah,
tropical
it's PC.
island. That premise alone would make it worthy of greatness. However, JPOG delivers much, much more. You build attractions and facilities. All the details you expect are present, whether you are ensuring proper restroom and janitorial coverage, hiring and managing your workforce, or choosing the type of concessions and souvenirs sold at the various shops. But this is not just about Bronto burgers and Spinosaurus sippy cups. This is not merely a generic theme park sim dressed in prehistoric skin. To bring in more guests, you must bring in more diverse and exciting, sometimes more dangerous species of dinosaur. To do this, you must put money out into the field, acquiring valuable DNA samples. You must build laboratory facilities and allot funds to your scientists to research that DNA and create the assets themselves. You need to research infrastructure, such as varying grades of security fences, and have it properly installed to safely house and contain your assets. God forbid an asset escapes, you must also be able to launch a helicopter with tranq darts to confront the danger head-on. You must have strategically placed emergency shelters capable of quickly protecting all of your guests in the event of a dangerous, fast-moving tropical storm. Not being prepared to ensure all of your guests' safety can create a sudden rash of fatalities and put your park out of business in an instant. Dinosaurs are only as exciting as you present them, so you will have many rides and attractions to build which will separate your park from being just a zoo. Although there are far too many options to mention here, I will point out one of my favorites. Picture yourself floating weightlessly in a hot air balloon over prehistoric pastures lush with life. Snap photos if you like, to forever revisit your fondest memories. Any good simulation game provides a challenging balance between developing and managing resources to grow and advance. The best of the genre provide a simulacrum so believable that the act of simply observing it in action brings great pleasure and entertainment. One of the ways JPOG achieves this is through a feature that lets the player place surveillance cameras anywhere they like, assign them a pattern, or manually control them to observe your park in its functioning state. The satisfaction of watching your park in action from these candid viewpoints is a pleasure which never gets old or becomes extinct. In Operation Genesis, you can develop, interact with, and ultimately live inside of your very own version of the film Jurassic Park. And so, the game achieves a high point for the genre of simulation, as well as the top spot that a movie licensed game has ever risen to.
5 seconds over.
Nope, that's it.
Tonight, we have an opportunity to send the world a message that the EZA Hall of Greats game, wait, hold on, we will vote on a game which has not already been universally agreed upon as being great. We'll use our podium to shine a spotlight on one of the other greats that exist! I put a paragraph in there, you get the idea. Jeez, I couldn't go 15 seconds over, man.
Incredible.
I have 2 more sentences.
That's not fair, man. You're too good at making videos.
Now, Don, this CG manipulation here, I don't know how I feel about that in the presentation. You know, the CG hand bringing in the dinos is not representative of actual gameplay. I feel influenced, is what I'm saying.
Jones, here's the issue with that. if you would have seen the actual gameplay, you would have been more impressed.
Okay.
The problem was I dug my Vio out from the closet, the old 4.3 Vio, and I didn't have the disc, so I couldn't capture actual gameplay. I had to use trailers and stuff, as you could see. So, but the actual going into the field, Jones, it's like you get a topographical map of these different dig sites, and you get to assign like the actual people where they dig. So you don't actually, you may be spending money on digs, they're not even actually retrieving anything. You don't know what DNA samples you are going to retrieve. And so to actually see the gameplay, that was a nice little shot there that made sense sort of with what I'm saying. But if you would have actually seen the actual gameplay of that, you would have been even more impressed.
We'll never know.
How are the cheats? Does this game have codes, cheat codes?
I assume it does. I don't know. I never used any.
Honorable. Right.
Legit.
I assume it does.
Any characters returning from the
Gotta
film?
shoot him out, Ben.
Just say 'em.
Other people didn't have to do it.
I'm trying to think, actually. Did they have characters from the film? I don't think so.
Don, how long has it been since you played this game?
I think the last time I played it probably would have been maybe, I don't know, Kyle, 09?
Okay.
Not that long ago.
Okay,
I went back to it and
That long
revisited
ago.
it.
Don,
Within a decade.
Don, you said how important it was that a simulation game get considered for the Hall of Greats, and that you failed to prove it to us last time. When you say the word simulation,
Yes.
and you're talking about majestic creatures like dinosaurs,
Yes.
how does JPOG make dinosaur life convincing? How does it feel like I'm actually taking care of these extinct, wondrous creatures?
Well, I mean, it's everything that you would have to do to take care of a living animal. I mean, there's everything. There's all the requirements you have to do when you run a zoo, from the feeding to the medical, to the housing. And dinosaurs get sick. Dinosaurs interact with each other in ways. If where you place them next to each other, if they are, you can place multiple species within the same areas, and they interact in various ways. So the same way you would interact with any living creature in real life, it's like that. But the point of the game is it's a simulation of the movie. Okay, so the idea of the movie.
Don, I have a question.
Yeah.
Believable AI is really important in simulation games. Do the dinosaurs act as you might assume they would act, and do the human beings in the park act in a reasonable way?
Yes, that's one of the cool things about it. All the human beings, I don't know if you could see it, but they've got little symbols over their head. So each one of those individuals, much like SimCity 4, you can click on them and you can get all sorts of information, what they're doing, how much they're spending, what they like and don't like, if they're leaving, if a carnivore gets out, he obviously starts eating people. People can get injured in the park or sick, depending on what your facility upkeep maintenance is with restrooms and cleanliness of the park, for instance. And then again, how the dinosaurs interact with each other is there's a whole variety of combinations on what they're going to do depending on who you put next to each other, or what sort of foliage or what sort of area of the island you're putting them on, etc., etc.
Don, to me, the point of Jurassic Park,
Yes.
and maybe every single one, is that this was a bad idea. We shouldn't have done this.
I think it's a fabulous idea.
Does the game have a moral lesson?
Yeah, does that work? Can you succeed? Can you just have a good park? that
Oh
totally
yes,
succeeds?
Kyle! If I could have gotten that Vio up and running, you would be very impressed with the state of my park.
Yeah, I had a similar question because the cutscene just showed a dinosaur smashing through a wall. Is this game set up to fail? Is there a way to keep things from getting out?
Absolutely. That was, I think, just
and
a little.
it's not boring.
That was a little Oh no, it's so. I mean, that's what I was saying. Even if it was just the terraforming the island, if that was the game, that would have been enough. But then they went on and threw the whole Jurassic Park simulation on top of that. But the dinosaur bursting through the wall, that was a little bit melodramatic for the trailer there. But they break through fences if you don't have proper security fences up.
Are you dodging the multiplayer question?
Yeah, tell me about multiplayer, dude. I heard it's bad.
I did not experience multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know it had it. Does it really?
That's people in
That may have
chat
just
saying.
been a cut.
I don't know if
think
that's
that might
a
be
joke.
trolling.
Joke.
I'm asking a
I
question.
don't think that's true.
That's
I
a
don't think
meme.
it's true.
It's a PC game,
But hard to-
of course, you got a multiplayer.
From what you're saying, hard to get a hold of. Not if you've inspired our audience to go check out
Oh no,
this
I'm,
game right
I'm
now.
sure you could find it on eBay for a few dollars.
Time.
There you go. $2 more.
I just couldn't find it.
Relevant.
I was so surprised you didn't ask me about evolution. I was so ready for that.
I'm glad you asked that.
Shocking oversight.
Nice presentation.
Yes.
Yeah, great presentation.
Setting the bar a little too high, Don.
Okay.
What's that?
Bassman.
Here we go. I gotta feel it's a PS2 game.
How's the shotgun done?
Yeah, can you kill the dinos? Nope, sorry, that's a question.
He
Sorry,
said train line, yeah.
You have to trank them in a plane.
Dinosaurs do die.
Pokemon Red. I'm an action.
All right. Damiani, you ready?
I'm ready.
Kyle, you ready?
Queued, unless he's doing something on his phone.
I am. One moment. I think I'm ready to go.
Xenoverse 2 is Kyle's pick.
Okay.
You ready, Kyle?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
As stated, the mission of the Hall of Greats is to accumulate, to just gather up all of the greatest games. And much like Don, I saw what we have. We now have what we can define as great games. And the more we add, the clearer it becomes what a great game is. We have another genre that is absolutely missing from our greats. RPGs. One of my favorite video game genres. So I thought it's probably my duty. You know, I like to bring silly games, I like to have fun at Hall of Greats, but there's a game tonight that I couldn't let down. I had to bring this. My proposition is Final Fantasy 9.
Yeah! Damn it.
So here's the deal with Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9 is a throwback game. You could call it a throwback game in style. Absolutely. It's a game that is aware of its own legacy, but it uses its legacy not in a cheap way. It builds upon it. It takes its legacy and runs with it. It treats its characters realistically. And the way I'm going to open with that is talking about RPG character classes. Now, in a lot of games, you can just choose your class. You can choose what job your character is, who they are, and things like that. That's necessary, for sure, in many games. Not so in Final Fantasy IX. In Final Fantasy IX, the characters' classes are who they are. You have a black mage, you have Vivi. I'd love to talk about Vivi. We should talk about Vivi. Vivi's a black mage, a cartoonish one. In the original NES games, black mages kind of had to be cartoonish in order to just communicate what they are. A yellow hat with cartoonish glowing eyes. Vivi has those. But Vivi is a fully realized character in this game. Vivi is a character who was created from magic and has a timeline. You learn very early Vivi is destined to die. That's terribly sad, and it's not what you expect coming into, oh, Final Fantasy IX is goofy characters, they have big heads. No, they're all real, and it's all tragic. Each of these characters, maybe Amarant, not Amarant, the bad one. All of the characters that you can put in your party change from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, and that's really what I love out of any story is change, seeing change from the characters. Hubert loves characters, I love characters, and I love to see each of them, every single party member you could put into your party can change, and all of them are relevant. All of the weirdos. You have Queen of Quen, essentially a blue mage, eating the enemies. That's who she is. She is a gourmand, and so her class represents her as a character and the journey that she's gone through. As you can hear, I've used some music. So I want to, if we think about the greats, if we think of the Hall of Greats, you need greatness, and the music of this game is greatness. It is among the best of any video game. You can compare it to our other greats, you compare it to new greats, and say it holds up, it stands shoulder to shoulder with them. You can look at the character design and the enemy design. The art of this game holds up. And really, I think if you are to be allowed into the greats, you have to be the best at something. And so, one thing I want to say, Final Fantasy IX is the best at, is its backgrounds, its pre-rendered backgrounds. Best of all time. Best realized world. Not just from an art aspect, but from the details you see, the creativity you see, the way that these backdrops, these pre-rendered backgrounds, create a feasible, lived-in world. A lot of games today kind of lose this in just a very simple way. You think of just pots. If you think of pots in a modern RPG, you'll find that same pot throughout the entire game in everybody's homes. In Final Fantasy IX, you find a unique home in each area of any town that you go into. You find fully realized towns like Lindblum. You just see an attention to detail that you don't see in your average game today because you couldn't pull it off without these pre-rendered backgrounds. And so the way that they're used makes this almost a grander adventure than we're used to. It holds up today because of those things. Battles hold up. Battles are still interesting in the diversity of their characters. You care about these characters because you care about the story. You care about succeeding in each battle because you like each of these party members you've chosen to put into your party. You like how the story evolves. You like how the story changes. You like how the story is written. You like the dialogue. You like that people change, people grow. In the end, the story is about the brevity of life and how much it matters, how much what you do while you're here matters. And that's it.
Kyle.
Yeah.
So you said all the characters grow throughout this game?
Yes.
Like, how many Final Fantasy games do the characters grow up through the game? What makes this one so much different?
The entire party, Brad. I think a lot of Final Fantasy games focus on 3 at most as their primary characters, as the characters who they choose to focus on. And Final Fantasy IX represents each of these characters as their own selves and allows them to have a story for themselves and to matter in the game.
So what about Amarant?
Amarant, sorry. He grows too. He's the thief. And so, yeah, that's his class, but also his character. Yeah, I mean, he grows too, but not in an interesting way. I'm willing to let you have that one.
Kyle, something that you didn't touch on too much, and you do a lot, maybe more of than anything else throughout the dozens of hours that you play Final Fantasy IX, is you fight things. Final Fantasy is a series where combat is constantly reinvented. What is it about Final Fantasy IX's combat mechanically that makes it interesting? How does it evolve over the course of the game in an interesting way? How is that entertaining in and of itself?
So I guess, Ben, we would talk about, in Final Fantasy IX in particular, its active time battle system, which, I mean, honestly, it's another Final Fantasy battle system. It evolves enough to keep it interesting, but really the reason I care about battles throughout the game is those characters, is the way they learn interesting new moves, that they settle into their roles more. That makes me care more about the battles themselves. The limit breaks are also really cool. Basically, everyone has like a Super Saiyan versions of themselves, where if they're really, like, if they build up to that hurt level, they start glowing, and then they become an all-powerful version of whatever their class is. Great summons too, Ben. I love collecting summons throughout a Final Fantasy game, and that's just an easy way visually to see your characters growing, is you get more and more powerful summons as you go forward. And in this game in particular, in Final Fantasy IX, each of the summons shine. They're all very cool and matter to the story in interesting parts.
Alexander!
Yeah.
Kyle, tell me about, how do you feel about the final boss of the game?
There we go.
I like it, Brad. It's a creepy, winged, large, muscular freakazoid.
I'm more specifically, how do you feel about his implementation in the game?
Do you mean because it just kind of? I guess you're referring to an enemy appearing out of nowhere.
Yes. How do you feel about that?
Basically, Brad, I think the story escalates to a point where the enemy needs to be on that sort of scale, where the enemy needs to be a larger-than-life god to accomplish. To help resolve everything that we're up to that point. It serves a means, I would say.
Would you say that sounds like most Final Fantasy final bosses then?
It's definitely a throwback to Final Fantasy bosses in that way. It's a lot of Final Fantasy IX is throwbacks, but evolution upon a throwback.
You mentioned that the pre-rendered environments can do things that a lot of modern RPGs can't do.
Yeah.
One thing I like that modern RPGs can do is that there's not a lot of difference between the cutscenes and the gameplay. But there's a massive difference in the PS1 era between cutscenes and gameplay.
Yeah.
Looking back from a historical perspective, wanting to preserve Final Fantasy IX for all time, do you think that is that a hindrance? Does a part of you get kind of bummed actually where you end one of these gorgeous cinemas and go right back to the game, which is a beautiful looking game, but again, when you're constantly comparing back and forth.
I hear you, Jones. Well, you're not constantly. The cutscenes are rare. They're a treat when you finally get to them. But also, I don't think that the in-game character models are bad. And so I think that's what I would say, is that they're both good. They don't... it's not like a Final Fantasy-esque way where they have different proportions in either of them too. They're still like related to each other. I don't think it's jarring, and I think that the pre-rendered cutscenes are some of the best. They're so interesting and action-filled, and it always feels like a reward. It feels like you're moving the story forward every time you get to see one.
55 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
How's the economy?
Shit.
Huber, the economy, I could not vouch for. I do not know how to answer that question.
I like Final Fantasy games, or like, I just like RPGs in general, where like things you do matter. The little stuff like getting money, like managing your items, exploring the world. I guess like do you like exploring the world?
I love exploring the world. I love the side quests. I even love the card game that you can play at various points.
Dread?
Yep. But yeah, Huber, you are rewarded, especially when it comes to chocobo raising. And raising your chocobos allows you access to new areas and things like that in interesting ways.
Does this game have bad load times?
Not on PC.
Oh, tricky.
Yeah.
Weird question.
Played on PC. We're talking about the PC version then.
Wait, what?
It's Tetra Master.
That's time.
8.
Oh man.
Okay.
I feel like
Tell me about how awesome
I think you probably
Beatrice
didn't want
is.
that curveball.
You're right. I don't want to get much into Kuja.
Ooh, Damiani had some stuff.
Damian,
sick.
if you got fire, spit it, dude.
Yeah, spit your
Don't
fire.
hold back.
Yeah,
Spit your
Damian.
fire,
Hell,
Damiani. Our next game comes from.
God. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, ba-da-da, bum, bum, bum.
On the left stream.
Yeah, the
Nobody
disrespect.
cares. Nobody cares.
The disrespect.
Wow.
I'm right here.
Don's there.
Brief
That one's not
intermission.
about Don.
Where to support you?
Brief intermission.
Brief intermission.
Brave.
Hey guys. This makes me so.
Kyle's
so
coming up with his
nervous.
back.
I know it's great, isn't it?
That combat speed, though, dude. Woof.
What?
Play on PC, man.
Play on PC.
If you're gonna make that complaint, sorry, no questions.
No questions.
I want to bring
Hold
something
the
up
questions.
so badly, and I'm not allowed.
You can't do it.
I know. I want to say it so bad.
Hi.
I'll time yes.
I can time me. It's fine.
When it's all over, I'll say what I meant. So.
Yeah. So.
You actually played it on
When it's
PC?
all over.
Okay, I'll start my timer over.
Keep it. You're starting.
All right.
Yeah, that wasn't even my point about.
You wait for Ben then?
I guess. How's everyone
Yo,
feeling?
who
You
complains
good?
about
Feeling
load
good?
times, man? Settle in. Use your patience. Straight up. I just mean video game. This is a general Hugh rant. If you have issues with loading, I don't know what to tell you. It's never longer than like 45 seconds.
Sometimes it's longer than.
So Bloodborne is a 10 then. Bloodborne is a 10.
When that came out, that was unacceptable. How long that takes?
Yeah.
It's a
There are
rant.
definitely
I'm
some
sorry.
games with the low time.
Yeah.
Especially how
You
frequent
saying
they
it's
are.
never longer than 45 seconds is objectively just not true.
Just pull your phone off for a minute. Like, whatever.
Play a
Fucking
photo.
time when you're playing a fucking video game.
Watch the episode of Jessica Jones. Cool.
All right, are we? Huber, you all right? You ready? Okay. Okay. My hope was to have produced a beautiful video like Don did, but I didn't.
We can't all be done.
We can't all be Don. We'll get muted, but whatever. This might be the only salty run back this time. But
Yeah, just keep talking over that so they don't pick it up. You gotta keep going.
let's talk about the sprites. Let's talk about the music. Let's talk about the gameplay. Let's talk about the exploration, the ownership of this castle. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Damn! It's so good. It's so good. Like, for real, so good. I don't even need a fancy video because we all hold this game in our memories and in our hearts, in our very bones. Symphony of the Night, it was a life changer for me. We played it again not 3 weeks ago whenever we were at Easy Living, and you can just settle in and play this game, and it's so comforting, and like, it's not the hardest game in the world, but it still offers a challenge of memory if you've played it before, of coordination of timing, and just I could explore this castle over and over. I replay this game every maybe year or two. I replay it, and like this is the only game that's like that I go back and I replay and I replay and I replay. I've played it probably like literally like 6 or 7 times maybe, like full all the way through, and that doesn't happen for me. I know that you guys play through like Resident Evil like a million times, you know, and like that's just not something I do. But this game is one of those games. 3 minutes, and oh god, just like right now I'm listening to this music, and I'm just picturing the tower and like the colors, like the saturation of this game is so good. I mean, you think about this kind of sprite art, and there's good sprite art and there's bad sprite art. Some sprite art is kind of blurry or the colors are washed out, but this game and Sonic Mania did a really great job recently of just having like this. There's a beauty. It's like it's playing a painting, and that doesn't age, that doesn't go out of style, that holds up, and greats should hold up. You shouldn't have to say like, oh yeah, for the time it was really cool. Oh yeah, this was great when it came out. And I'm not like specifically targeting any other games, but like, you know, this game holds up. It looks as good right now as it did back then. And that, I don't know, that is hugely meaningful to me. And like there are parts of this game that like you've forgotten about. If you play it again, you will rediscover beautiful things. And like whole areas of this castle that you're like, oh right, this whole crazy part, like the whole weird middle part with the giant like floating knife thing that's like a way worse version of that super hard thing you fought earlier. And you're like, wow, I'm glad I got through that. And then you see another one, you're just like, you know, and it like follows you everywhere. This game is just, oh my god, this game. Oh my god. That's it. It's this game.
That's it. All right, I got questions.
Let's get that music out there.
Okay.
You ready, Ian?
Yeah.
Okay, and so there's a lot of Castlevania games and a lot of Metroidvania Castlevania games.
Yeah.
What makes Symphony of the Night stand up above all those other ones? What makes it stand up above Order of Ecclesia, Circle of the Moon, Portrait of Ruin? What makes this the best one?
I think that it, for me, feels like the most focused, and that's not to say that it's smaller, but like every part of it feels, for me, like the whole castle, every part of it feels of a similar quality to every other part of it. I've played other Castlevanias where they dip a little bit, and for me personally, I like the sword ones. So like any of the whip only ones, while I still like them, I prefer Symphony of the Night because I like getting all the items and all the different armor and stuff like that. So for me, that's a big deal, which puts it above some other ones. But also, I just think that like the Upside Down Castle thing, the scale of this game, the surprise that you can have in this game, none of the other ones kind of achieved that level for me. And then if you just tie that in with the art and the music and everything else, this is like a full package. Whereas the other ones are very good games. A lot of them are very high quality games. The music in some of the early Nintendo ones are like out of control. This one's just got it all, I think.
Tell me on the bosses.
Yeah, some of the bosses aren't overly hard, but I think that there's a decent amount of variety in the bosses, and I think that the sprite work in the bosses are generally pretty incredible. I mean, like, even if you take one of the, like, what could have been one of the lamer bosses, that giant pile of corpses, right? Like, you've seen that boss before, and it's kind of like whatever. And at first, it's just like, okay, it's a big sphere. But when you hit it, little corpses fall off of it. And when you break the parts off, there's this wacky, like, tentacle monster on the inside. Like, it evolves. And the bosses, a lot of bosses do that. They change, they evolve, they adapt. Which, I mean, you know, later games, other games have done too. But all of the bosses are very interesting, and the art for all of them is so awesome. Plus, one of my favorite story moments in this game is when you get to that, what is she called? Like, the like, she's pretending to be your mother in the nightmare. And, like, that moment, maybe? Yeah, the succubus, yeah, is just, that moment is just so cool, and that it fits with the lore of that boss, that it would, like, mess with your head like that, you know? and I love it, and like that it ties it in with the Dracula mythos and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I like the bosses.
I never thought I'd say anything negative about this game, but I thought of a thing. Well, we were at Easy Living because we played not only this at Easy Living, but we played Rondo Blood right before it.
Yeah.
And I remembered as we were jumping into Symphony, I was like, oh yeah, this game isn't hard.
Right.
And like, that could it have been like? Is it? Does this kind of demonstrate this whole new way to do a Castlevania, or is that something? Because I did miss that. Like we played Rondo first, and then went into Castlevania, and I was like, oh, that's right. This isn't like a hard game, really.
I think
even going back through some of the other games you're talking about, Last of Us, or even like Half-Life 2, like there are moments where, oh no, this like, it doesn't matter how many times I play this part. This is tough.
There are definitely a few parts in Symphony of the Night that I think are more challenging than the most of it. But yeah, it's not overall a difficult game. Whereas a lot of people, like Rondo of Blood is like a famously difficult game. And for me, like, that in this particular case, like, I'm not one to shy away from a difficult game, like, you know, Souls, whatever. But like, for me, the fact that this game isn't overly difficult means that you get to see it all.
Mm-hmm.
Means that people get to experience this beautiful game. And to me, the crime of a game's difficulty is not in it being overly challenging or overly easy. It's whether or not you get... Because if a game is too easy, you get bored. If a game is too hard, you get frustrated. Symphony of the Night, for me, I've never gotten bored or frustrated playing this game, even on subsequent playthroughs. And I think that that's a testament to the quality of this game, and like the difficulty for me doesn't really factor into that because, like I said, you can go back in and you can play it, you can enjoy it, you don't get bored or frustrated. So to me, it's not really a bad thing, but yeah, it's an easier game than some of the other Castlevanias for sure. Yeah. 27 seconds left.
Do you know that Alucard is Dracula spelled backwards?
I was aware of that, yes.
I don't know if you brought that up the last time, though, Ian.
I didn't bring that up, yeah. He's Dracula's son, like, that's pretty intense.
We want the whole picture.
Your
here,
son coming in to put you down? Like, that's pretty intense.
Did you
Also, the
dash
Netflix
the
series
whole
is pretty soon. No, the sound is too... You know, but whatever.
Oh,
you know,
what is up with that sound?
it's just repetitive. If you're doing no, it's just repetitive.
The Death Note.
Time.
I sense the
You do anything over and over again.
Damiani is next.
Damiani.
You want to set up your clip, Damiani?
Yeah. Play my clip first, then I'll sit down.
Okay.
So you're good?
Alright, so I'll start the timer with the clip then. Damiani, tell me when you're gonna hit play, okay?
Okay, so start there.
And I'll just click go live on the full cam when this is
Maybe
done.
the soundtrack ever made?
I
don't know.
just gonna flip it and run to
The
that.
best
You can start the
music
timer
ever
when
made.
you hit play.
Just tell me when you hit play. Well, count me in actually.
Video game.
Okay.
What it takes.
Alright, so as you saw, my pick is the original Ocarina of Time. I had to pick the 3D version of the trailer, which is a remake of the original trailer, because there are no high quality versions of the original trailer. It looked too compressed. Kyle was asking about that earlier. So, just want to get that out of the way. Wasting my time on that. Ocarina of Time is a landmark release. It was a game I'm gonna explain why it was a good game at the time of its release, and then why it still holds up, and its influence on games since it came out. We inducted Super Mario 64 last time, largely because it also was an important title. It basically made the blueprint for how to make 3D games. Nintendo kind of established that. Ocarina of Time proved that you could do more than just make obstacle course levels. Something with a little bit more meaning, something with a little bit more purpose, something with a strong story, something that felt like an actual adventure, an actual game that you could enjoy playing more than just for the gameplay, for everything else about it. Ocarina of Time successfully took what made those 2D Zelda games so special and converted it into 3D not only flawlessly, but improved upon it, establishing many conventions that pretty much governed all the Zelda games since until Breath of the Wild. The fact that every subsequent 3D Zelda game was compared to Ocarina of Time because of what it achieved is such a testament to how the quality of that game and why it is such a standout game. And the fact that they had to break that template established in Ocarina of Time to rise above it was the only option. Should speak volumes of how solid that foundation was. Ocarina of Time has phenomenal soundtrack. It does use a lot of, not a lot, it uses a decent amount of songs that were previously introduced in older games, but also introduced a lot of music that has been reused throughout the series. Classical themes like Gerudo Valley, which is probably the best song in that game, was created strictly for originally for that game. Visual fidelity is probably the weakest point, because N64 also kind of had issues with visuals. 3D version does fix that for people who want to play it today, so that is a little bit of a cop-out. But I still think it holds up. Like, it doesn't look ugly today. I still think it looks pretty good, but you can definitely tell it looks dated, being from 1998. But besides that, when it first came out, some of those moments were just amazing in that game. I think about fighting Dodongo in the original Legend of Zelda and how it was just like this goofy sprite making these noises. There's virtually no intimidation factor behind it other than how to beat it with figuring out a bomb. When it's first introduced in Ocarina of Time, you fall down this gap and just the camera pulls back. It's from the perspective of Dodongo looking down at young Link, and it's just like this gargantuan dinosaur-looking thing. It was just the impact of that scene. That game just showed what could be achieved through 3D visuals and pretty good cutscenes. The gameplay in Ocarina of Time is excellent. The lock-on system, which a lot of people attribute to Ocarina of Time, has been reused throughout the history of games as a way to achieve combat and handle situations in 3D for focus. The puzzles are really good. Amazing dungeons. The going back and forth between time, while the duality world concept had been done before, was done really well in this, and good game.
Got a question, Tommy.
What's up?
If I'm giving this game to, like, my 9-year-old nephew, do you think they'll enjoy it?
Yes, I think they will. I know the caveat is you're asking if you gave them the original version, like on Virtual Console versus 3D.
Yeah, like N64 original, unaltered version.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it holds up pretty well. The problems they're probably going to have with it are probably like the aiming mechanics are probably the weakest part of that game for archery and hookshot. Those were refined in the 3D version, like they completely fixed that. Obviously, being younger, they're going to see the visuals and they're probably going to be like, this doesn't look that good. But I don't think they'll ever encounter the problem where they don't understand what they're seeing. It's still completely clear what you're doing. It still looks okay. There's no confusion on that, so none of that is lost in translation.
Damiani, do you think there is merit to a story that never challenges the audience?
That never challenges
the bad guys are bad and the good guys are good, and it's simply that throughout the entirety of the story.
So, that's a complicated answer, Kyle, because I don't know if I'm allowed to bring in information
Whoa! You absolutely are.
Okay,
Time
so
out, baby.
There is further appreciation for Ganondorf, who's the main villain, in that game after you play the Wind Waker, because real quick, it's the same character. He was imprisoned, comes back in the Wind Waker. He explains in a scene in the Wind Waker why he did what he did in Ocarina of Time. Yeah. Basically,
should we put Wind Waker in?
What? No.
Wind Waker in the Hologrades?
No, stop. I'm talking about Ocarina of Time now. So in Ocarina of Time, Ganondorf, basically, he coveted Hyrule. His people lived in the Gerudo Desert. It was basically a hellhole. He was arguing that like his people only knew pain and suffering. The Gerudo were at the time were a race of thieves, and like that's how they pretty much had to survive. But there's more to it. The story is basically they were exiled. They were kind of like pushed out of Hyrule proper for something they did. It's not fully understood. Like Hyrule story doesn't really clarify it.
Mostly racism.
It had something to do with the Sheikah versus Gerudo or something like that. Anyway, point is, Ganondorf was only doing it because he wanted power, true, but he also in his mind he's like, my people have been like screwed over for generations, like screw Hyrule, screw your like nice kingdom and stuff, like, you know, I've never known anything but like crap, and I'm coming to like take over your little like kingdom because you won't help us and stuff.
So wait, the story in this is only good because of other games?
No, it's still good, but they develop the motivations further after that. Oh. In this game, Ganondorf is just like deceitful. He's presented basically as all powerful and like you don't mess with him. When villains are just evil, when people tell you they're evil, that sucks. Like you need to see them do evil stuff. They need to command a presence. The scene in the courtyard where Zelda is supposed to be this princess who has these special powers, who can see prophecy or see the future and stuff and can interpret dreams, like tells Link to look at Ganon, and Ganon just does that glance and you freak out and it's like, oh crap, did he see us? Like just it's like, oh shit, like this guy is like he means this in the scene where he's like chasing Zelda and looks down at Link's like whatever, boom, throws a fireball. Like after all you've been through at that point in the game, he just wrecks you. It's just setting it up. It's like, yo, you are not ready to fight this guy. So the game builds up that you need to keep improving. Like you're not ready. The whole change to becoming an adult is basically like you still got a long ways to go to challenge this like ultimate evil. And if you're gonna go that course of like the bad guy's just bad, like he's evil, you need to make them badass. Like you need to make them feel intimidating, not something that whatever, you just told me they're bad. We have this, they show up at the end randomly, like in Twilight Princess, and just fight, and it's like whoop-de-doo, I don't care about you. Like where'd you come from?
Do you actually have fun going through the water temple, and is it designed well?
So people are people who didn't had trouble with the water temple, I think was mostly because either they hadn't played a 3D game like that before, because there weren't any, or not a 3D game like that, 3D games in general. And thinking about...
Answer the question, Damiani. Do you still have fun?
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think it's that badly designed. I think the additions they had in 3D, the 3D version, were basically just to, like... address the mob mentality of the day. It's like, Water Temple's the worst temple ever because I got stuck in it for more than 5 minutes and I couldn't figure it out.
I got stuck for days.
So I think it's just like you probably did not know how to think in 3 dimensions, like puzzles. You're like, wait, I'm new to this, or you're young. But you throw that at like people our age now, they'll probably laugh at it. Like, this, what the heck? Like,
time.
Yeah.
Draw a card, Damiani.
All right.
I was like struggling.
Who's it?
I was like, oh, what's with the swimming? I don't know.
I just know I don't like the water temple. That's really it.
Mr.
Ben Moore.
Ben Moore is
Get that invisible chair out of here.
Yeah, I don't think I remember like having that crazy of a hard time with the water temple.
I can't say anything else.
Yeah, I was like,
no, when I had the dumb thing that I couldn't get over is like I didn't know that I could actually get the horse to jump across the canyon. Because the horse wouldn't even jump across the river, so why would I jump across the canyon?
Good point. Why was that on the point?
Strike it from the record.
Do you have something to set up?
Yeah, because I didn't add my game title, so I'm just adding my game title to the list.
I just saying where I got stuck.
Tell me when you're ready, and then I'll ask Ben if he's ready.
Hold!
No!
Hold still! Flame of
There's some other really obvious thing that I got stuck on, and like after I got figured out what it was, like I can't remember what it was though.
Did anybody watch the eclipse scene in Apocalypto on the day of the eclipse?
No. I forgot about that.
No,
I
dude.
did.
It's a good idea. I wish I would have thought of it. I would have.
Yeah, me too.
Apocalypto, dude.
I watched it.
Get the Blu-ray. Do you have a Blu-ray of Apocalypto?
Yes.
Movie's a 10.
It's a pretty good movie.
Don likes it too.
Have you seen it?
Man.
Masterpiece.
That is a
seen it?
masterpiece.
I've never been interested
Oh man,
in it.
it's good.
So good.
It's
You ready,
great.
Damiani?
Sorry, I almost said.
Okay.
Don't.
He's not ready.
Just the text size has changed. All right.
Excited for this one, Ben.
Okay.
What do you got?
All right, Ben, you ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, I will count you in.
'Kay.
3, 2, 1, go.
I want to start off with my Hall of Greats speech by acknowledging that this game has an uphill battle. It has an uphill battle in a lot of ways. It's going up against games that are universally beloved. It is going up against games that we've all played and adored as children or later in life. And it is a game that I think is hard to convince somebody to play for a lot of reasons, because of its genre, because of its length. It is a game that I played through the entirety this year. It is a game that took me more than 80 hours to finish. That is a huge commitment. That is something that you cannot give very easily in your life. And it is something that I wish I could go back and experience for the first time again. And that game is Xenoblade Chronicles. And I think you can listen to me at this Hall of Greats, and you can say, oh, Ben is bringing another JRPG. He's bringing a JRPG that everybody has said it's good. And we talk a lot about the high points of all of these different games that we're bringing to the Hall of Greats. I would argue that Xenoblade is one of the most well-rounded. On every single level, as a role-playing game, it has all of the pillars that I care about. It crushes it. In fact, it is best in class in some ways. And the very first aspect that I want to talk about that is absolutely so essential is the world. You can talk about storylines, you can talk about characters that were written, that were conceived in somebody's mind, but I think it is an even more impressive achievement if you can create a world where anyone can experience it in any way, dart off in any direction, and they find something exciting. They find something that feels alive. And that's what Xenoblade Chronicles does. Think about how many JRPGs you've played where you've been running along a field and suddenly you'll get a screen, a splash screen, and you'll transform into a random battle. Or you'll see an enemy on the field that won't notice you until you get right next to it. The creatures in Xenoblade Chronicles are towering. They're imposing. You will be going along and you'll see harmless creatures right next to a giant ogre that's the size of a skyscraper, and it can kill you in a single blow, even when you're at a low level. Because Xenoblade Chronicles does not follow all of the conventions that have been laid out before it. It is more interested in creating a convincing environment than it does being perfectly appropriate to your level. That means you might be going along a forest, find a hidden path that leads you to a thing that you've never seen before, a creature that you've never fought before that's different than anything else you've fought, that might lead you to an item that you couldn't find anywhere else. But if that was the only thing that was great about Xenoblade Chronicles, I wouldn't be entering it into the Hall of Greats. Another reason I love Xenoblade Chronicles is the combat. The combat is easily dismissed as just simply being an MMO, and that is not true. I've played a lot of MMOs, and in most encounters in MMOs, you can get by with just spamming your same rotation over and over and over again. Xenoblade Chronicles constantly challenges you to think about the situation. You have so many different abilities for your characters. You have so many things that you need to take into consideration. How do I put this enemy into a position where I can even attack him, where I can even hurt him? I have to... this one character, you have 3 characters. One character can put him in a state that you need another character to rely on to get him in another state, and then you need your third character to get them in the final state where you can actually do a ton of damage. And that's the thing about Xenoblade Chronicles. You have to think not only about how strong your individual characters are, but you have to think about how well they work together. And pretty much throughout the entire game, it's forcing you to rethink that strategy over and over and over again. But you say, wait a minute, sure, the world is great. Sure, the combat is good, but I care about the story. Xenoblade Chronicles is a story that I thought was pretty typical when I first started it. When it was 20 hours in, I thought it was pretty good. By the end, I was absolutely floored because what happens in Xenoblade Chronicles is it excellently tells you that this world has more going on than it seems. It is taking place on two giant creatures, that are alive, that are fighting each other, the Bionis and the Mechanis, two different ideals, nature versus machine. And as you're going along, you realize that the history of these two giant creatures is much deeper than you ever could have realized. What you thought you...
So Ben, tell me about this amazing soundtrack in Xenoblade. Why is it such a good soundtrack?
The soundtrack is amazing in Xenoblade Chronicles because, like I said, Xenoblade Chronicles is a game that you spend a lot of time in. It is a game where when you're running across a big open field where you can go on for hours and hours and hours just doing side quests. You can spend 20 hours in one area just doing side quests. You need to have music that is exciting that 500th time that you hear it and that first time, and that's what it does. I mean, just walking on the plains, hearing that soundtrack swell, it still gets me when I hear it now. And I think that's what makes the soundtrack so good, is its long-lasting nature. And not only that, it also hits during the incredible moments as well, the moments where it is delivering those big plot twists. It has music that is as exciting as what's going on screen.
Ben, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is Xenoblade Chronicles better than Persona 5?
Kyle's reaction to that.
Is Xenoblade Chronicles better than Persona 5?
Wow. Like the end of,
what a sharp turn.
I am not going to say whether or not it is better or worse. I will say that I like Xenoblade Chronicles more than Persona 5.
Fraud!
Oh! Okay!
Show me on the towns.
I like it.
How are the towns?
So you on the towns? The towns are a highlight.
Dude.
If I were to put like 10 great things about Xenoblade Chronicles, I would tell you that. Here's why the towns are so good, Hubert, because you start with Colony 9, which has Homs, human characters basically, and you go, and it's just... Everywhere you go, whether you go like up on the top level and look around, there are people to talk to that have their own stories going on, that have their own quests that you can get involved in. That's great. It's a great JRPG town. But what makes it interesting is when you go, and Xenoblade Chronicles is about encountering other civilizations, other people who don't look like you, who don't think like you, who don't live like you. And you spend the 80 to 100 hours or however long you spend in Xenoblade Chronicles going and seeing all of those very different races living in very different ways, and all of those towns feel so different, and that's what makes them so good to explore.
Ben.
Good towns.
Ben. I don't know a lot about this game, but one thing I hear about all the time is people love the world of it.
Yes.
Exploring. Can you tell me why it's so great?
It's so great because it's ceaselessly surprising. It's like you go and like in the beginning of the game, the training wheels are on a little bit. Like the world is big, but it's not unexpected. And then you go along, and then you have this huge plain where you can climb up this mountain. You can go on this narrow ledge and get to this huge place. Then you go to a snowy area where you can get on an ice slide. And the ice slide, if you like do it in just the right way, if you jump at just the right point, you'll get to another secret area. And so that's the thing, is the design throughout the course of the game keeps changing, keeps surprising you. It's not just... Never mind.
What are the two giants standing on?
They're standing in the ocean.
Is it just a big old ocean?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's two planets.
They're not. It's not two planets. It's two creatures.
Okay.
And the creatures were at war, and then basically the war ended, and they like remained locked in battle, but they were inactive, and people started living on those creatures.
That's really cool.
Ben.
Yeah.
Can you at least admit that the majority of side quests in this game are garbage. Like, there's so many moments when it's like, you just have to pick up these random items that, like, you can't go to a specific place and just get that thing. It's these lights, and you just go in circles picking up lights until you get the right RNG drop.
Yes, so, but here's my counter to Xenoblade Chronicles.
And then you have to try to figure out where the person that wanted that is walking around. At what time of day?
Okay, 50 seconds. Blood, the side quests, I guess, taken on their own. If you think about, okay, I have to do this task where I have to go and I have to collect this item and I have to go around and just get this thing or wait for it to drop. That's not good on its own. But like I was saying with Xenoblade Chronicles, it's hard to just examine one area because all of these different things are informing each other. I loved doing the side quests because it was perfect incentive for me to explore the world as much as possible. And maybe actually going and getting that item wasn't exciting on its own, but along the way to getting that item, I encountered so many other things. It was just perfect fodder for creating so many other moments. And so the side quests, I guess, in isolation are not that great, but they're not in isolation, and that's what makes them so good.
Ben, when I look at the characters, none of the character designs pop out at me. Do you? Oh.
You haven't looked at enough of the characters. There are great character designs in Xenoblade Chronicles. Ricky is one of them.
Time. We have to strike that thing from the record. Yeah, strike. Don't forget you saw that beautiful monster.
Hey, Dominic helping out.
Who's next, Ben?
That's blood.
I think Xenoblade Chronicles is in the next Hall of Greats.
Oh, we should show the card. He's got to show the card.
Yeah,
and I'm just trying to get him. Not answering.
You're not gonna look at your card?
Yeah, look at the goddamn card. Temperance.
I'd look at my card if I were you.
How do you know?
Look at my card side.
Dude, I'm waiting to see
You gotta stay up,
what
dude.
Blood's
You've never
got,
believed
dude.
it.
Blood's got a juicy pig.
Man,
Oh my gosh. This whole thing, man. Holy cow.
I just want to say that I always listen. I love listening to you guys talk. Ben especially. Yeah, Ben. So eloquent.
Hey,
so
night.
Oh, I wasn't trying to.
It's not allowed.
Your vote's in the mail, Ben.
What?
That is allowed. Alliances are allowed.
Oh, okay.
What? Yeah. Oh man. Are you ready, Damian?
Oh, yeah, right. There's no more.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no more visuals, yeah.
Wow. My phone went to sleep. My phone's not ready. All right, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so my pick for this Hall of Greats is a game that's really not like really any game before it, and has inspired a lot of games after it, and that is Portal. And Portal is a game that, in its concept, like you can't even really think of anything before that, and then after that, like anything else that's like it, it's like, well, that's just like Portal. You know, like this idea that you can set down a hole over here and a hole over there, and like you can actually physically look through it. You can go back and see yourself. You can, do the crazy little circles, or you can put one in the floor and one in the ceiling and just fall forever. Like just that concept and the idea of the portal gun, it's an iconic and powerful thing. And what's great is how much that really centers the experience, because this is a game where the majority of the game is in what could conceivably be called like boring, white, sterile rooms, but because of what you're doing in it, it really is so much about the design of these rooms and about how everything that's in there like matters in terms of how you interpret what you can and can't do in this space. And then on top of that, they've just got this amazing build-up, this psychological build-up where you have GLaDOS in there, and she's like an antagonist, but she also has this like really great dry sense of humor, and you're just kind of pitted against this thing, and you can only sort of do what GLaDOS will let you do, and you're just trying to figure out how to get through these tests, and that's the thing, is that for so much of the game it feels like, oh yeah, this is just a game about getting through different rooms, but then like when you get to that point in the game where it becomes something else, where you go like behind the walls and you see everything else that this game is about, and you start using everything that you've learned in different ways, and it has so many of these great moments of things that kind of plays on that psychology of sort of being a captive. Things like the companion cube, and so when you see that point where you can break out, it's just like, yeah, can I do this? This works here? And just really like opening up your mind to the possibilities of how else the portal gun can be used. And then aside from that, the other thing that I think a lot of people sort of forget about is there's sort of this challenge mode afterwards. Once you play through the game or whatever, like there are these times on these rooms to like repeat these rooms and get through them in the challenge mode that seem impossible, and they really make you think in ways that you were not thinking about at all before, because the only way to get through in that time is to do stuff that you couldn't even think of until you're given that goal. And yeah, there's so many games that have tried to replicate Portal, but they don't have all of those. They just don't have all of those same qualities. They don't hit on that same psychological factor and humor factor and that great build up, and it just really it's a game that, even though it's a fairly short game, like, you don't even really want it to be longer, because it just got that great arc that makes it work from beginning to end.
1 minute.
1 minute. Yeah, and the credits theme, I guess Chap brought it up, but yeah, the credits theme, again, part of the wit and humor is to, like, yeah, have a song that, you know, so much references what's in the game, and have an original song like that. Not something that's done very often in games, where so many just will rely on whatever the hot song of the day is, or the hot artist of the day is.
The timer shall start when the first question is uttered.
Tell me about the side quests.
And why they're garbage.
Are they absolutely garbage because they don't exist?
Damn.
I mean, I'd say that. I mean, the side quests are the secrets and are the mysteries, and, you know, can you actually find the cake? I think there's a lot of experimentation to do, rather than just going straight through the game.
So can't you only get the cake by hacking?
Yeah,
but that's a question though. Like,
Oh.
that's you know,
Okay.
that's like a part of the mystery. Is like, is there a way for me to do this?
So Bloodworth, what if I've gone through this game multiple times? What if I know all the ins and outs, all the puzzles? Is it still fun? Does it still hold up even though you know everything?
Yeah, I think it is. I think there is something to the physics of that game that, yeah, just that element of being able to, you know, jump off of something and then go through a hole and then pop out of another hole and just fly through the air. It's an incredibly fun thing to do. And as I said, with the challenge mode, there's not just one way of doing things, so that you can find new and better ways to improve what you've done.
Do you regret that this game gave birth to one of the worst memes in video games?
No, I don't. I think that's the part of its legacy. It really, I think that is struck so strongly. It is definitely speaks to the game's qualities.
Was this game was released for the first time in the orange box, correct?
Yes. I was wondering why no one just picked the orange box.
Not fair. That'd be cheating.
2 OP.
Yeah,
Two
it's a box full of games.
2 OP. Tell me about GLaDOS, Blood. Why is she so great? Why do so many people love her?
I think it's because she's just she balances on this kind of duality of, you know, at times, you know, she can be nice to you or whatever, but then, like, there's always that part that's just ready to, like, stab you in the back, and so you kind of get that sense of her split personality, of her, you know, being a program that's meant to test you, but at the same time she just hates you. She just hates you.
Alright, Blood, here's my concern with Portal. If we allow it into the Hall of Greats, it feels like we might be rewarding it for its simplicity, because it doesn't try to do as much as the other greats did. Is it only great because it just aspired not to be great?
I think it aspired to do something that people hadn't done before, and
But like a lot of little games do, a lot of indie games do. What makes this a great game that stands toe to toe with Mario 64?
I think it's that polish, it's that implementation of everything to where, again, like it all feels very good to move through the world. It feels good to make portals and to solve things in ways that you weren't expecting. Yeah, it's about mechanical discovery in a lot of ways.
Do you think the final boss fight with GLaDOS was good?
I don't have a problem with it. No. I think it's a decent boss fight.
Okay. I was just curious if you think it was like a good culmination of using the portals and stuff to drop the things on it, or did it feel frustrating at all? I guess honestly.
I mean, a boss fight should feel frustrating to a degree, so it's kind of hard to say.
Yo, I want to go back to this. I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you off this easily.
Okay.
You know, doesn't care. Like this game, right? It's about discovery. When everything is discovered, you really think it's still fun to go back and play. Like a lot of the Hall of Greats, Mario 64, Metroid, you can play those games endlessly forever because they're incredible. Metal Gear Solid, I don't care if I know that story, I'm still getting emotional.
Mhm.
Portal is really good if you play it again and you know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 100% the opposite.
Only Blood may answer the question.
I'm
put it out there.
Blood, would you not agree that it is 100% the opposite of video games? Where replaying a story is much more boring than replaying something that involves skill and physics that can change every moment? Would
Yeah,
you
I
not
mean,
agree?
I stand by what I said the first time. I think it's a fun game to move around in, which I think is very important. And her jokes, you know, unless you've just played it, like those things, there's a lot of little one-liners in there that you forget about.
Okay. 5 seconds left. Anything else?
It's fun to move around.
What's with you?
What about
Time's
You were
Trying to spice it up.
the 5 second left.
Free pass.
Oh my gosh.
Kyle question troll.
Spice.
Yeah,
Okay.
your valve isn't really off the hook.
Oh man! All right, I need a break.
Yay! Nice job, Blood.
I'm trying to avoid looking at chat through all that.
That was the last one.
Oh yeah, you have to ignore chat, man.
Yeah.
They'll take control.
Look away.
Yeah,
Am
yeah.
I counting again, or
Look
is
away.
Yeah. So we're all gonna do with the way we vote, everybody, is each ally gets 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. The two games that have the most points at the end of the night are entered into the Hall of Greats.
I need a card or something.
May I
to write on.
suggest again that we are not allowed to choose our own game with
You
the 3
absolutely are.
points?
You absolutely are.
Okay.
You are.
You can give your own game 3 points.
Got it.
Dominic, can you read through the games
You have
again?
to truly believe it.
Wait till Jones is here to read.
Yeah, let's all
Sam.
make sure we have stuff we can write on before I read it.
Your eyes are all going to be shut. What are you
Wait,
going
would
to be
that
writing?
keep it from being disqualified
Are
if
we
you give it
supposed to-
points, or is it?
No, we raise up our
Has to be
hands.
someone
You
else
raise,
doing
no,
it. Someone else
you raise
doing it.
fingers up.
Sure, but
Gotcha.
I just want to have a good reminder of what everything was.
Okay.
need the list.
No more of that.
Jeez.
I had the list in front of me.
Humor
So
is
hard.
wired up.
Humor is
Voting
upset.
time, baby.
Humor is upset.
Voting time.
I gotta say, this
I
is the
feel
hardest
good.
one.
It's so hard.
I don't know which one.
I am-
This was
Before.
incredibly easy until
I am like Horcrux
last
right
one.
now. My soul is being torn
Yeah.
into multiple.
Okay,
I can
As,
murder.
as long as you fought from your heart.
can you read them? Can you read them
Yes.
down?
Sure. Half-Life 2, Doom 2016, The Last of Us, Zelda Ocarina of Time,
What?
Portal,
This dude.
Jurassic Park,
I'm not
Operation
voting.
Genesis, Final Fantasy IX, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Xenoblade Chronicles. What?
One more time. One more time.
Too many good games.
4, 5,
Oh, they're
6,
getting angry at me like I like.
Blood, once you have the list down, come and read it in front of the camera too.
I've got it too.
Okay.
Half-Life 2,
Wow.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Doom 2016, Last of Us, Zelda Ocarina of Time, Portal, Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, Final Fantasy IX, and Xenoblade Chronicles. Hoo-wee!
One more time.
They're right up here.
Half-Life 2,
Oh, right, great.
Doom
But I have to take it away when we
2016,
vote because I gotta add the numbers.
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night, Last of Us, Ocarina of Time, Portal, Jurassic Park, Operation Genesis, Final Fantasy IX, and Xenoblade Chronicles.
Why does Portal get its own cute little box up there, Damiani?
Nah,
It's bias.
We gotta figure it out.
Bias.
Nervous, Kyle?
So wait, you've got to have your eyes shut though, so we'll do it at the end, right?
Of what?
I was gonna.
Ian will reveal the numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, I can just write down mine now or something, and then just watch everyone and count. But we need.
How we done in the past?
Ian tells.
Okay.
Last time I like tallied and stuff.
Okay, all right.
There was a confusion.
So
over
we'll all vote here, and you're right. I think you did tally last time. We had the Brad switch last time.
No, it was clear he was aware.
3-2.
Controversial Brad switch.
Oh yeah. I had my
Still
shut last
legal.
time.
So
Still
I'll do
legal.
that real quick, and then I'll hand it to you, Kyle.
No, you
Still
can do
legal.
it.
You
just do it
But
because
you
you're
can
off
also hold
camera.
this, you know I don't change mine.
I know you won't change yours.
Okay.
Yeah, you do it because you're off
Damiani,
camera. That makes sense.
I know you would have done your top 3 at the beginning of the night.
Okay. Let me bring this off.
Okay, so
vote, baby.
Damiani will keep track. We will all have our eyes shut the whole
Tom,
time.
can you bring it up one more time? I still haven't decided what my 3 are.
I can read through.
Yeah,
it
I need
too.
time. I need time. Time.
It's brutal.
Just tell me when.
It's so brutal.
I want to write mine down.
Half-Life 2,
Locked in, baby.
Doom, Last of Us, Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Portal, Jurassic Park: Operation Genesis, Final Fantasy IX, Symphony of the Night, Xenoblade Chronicles.
Okay, I got mine.
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
No, get 20 seconds.
And remember, you do
Well, I mean,
3 points, 2 points.
Chad brings
1
up a good point. Some people are not a fan that we're voting for our own stuff.
That's fine.
But I think
They can
that's
be not a
We
fan.
have in the past.
We will
But I
not
think-
bend to the whims of chat.
yeah. Well, first of all, we set a precedent
No,
for
the
it.
only
But
thing I suggested last time was we couldn't use our 3 points to vote for our own stuff, but no one likes that, right?
I think it's an interesting test of character. I think we are showing our audience exactly what type of people we are. Like if they know the same ally every single time votes their game 3 points every single.
I've never done that anyway.
Then like
because
that's
it's a
on
matter of
you.
principle.
If
I've
you
never
want to
done
show yourself to our audience that way,
I
but
believe
like,
you should bring the game that you think
Right.
belongs in the Hall of Greats the most.
That's
And
that's
so
what I think.
if you don't, it's easy to game it. I could bring a bad game, and
Right.
because
Right.
I'm not going to waste my own 3 on myself.
but
Like,
both times I brought a game that was
Game it
personal just
against
to me,
yourself,
and
though?
somebody else brought a game where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that game is better than the game that I picked. But I just personally, I wanted that
bring
one
the
in.
game you want in the Hall of Greats the most, and give it 3 points, dude.
Here's the thing.
I
here's
did.
the
It was
thing,
called
here's the
World of Warcraft, and it made me cry.
Well, Kyle, the only reason I suggested
So I'm
it is
changing
what
my
happened to
strategy.
me was when in the past is I did bring a game that I wanted to all the greats the most, but then I hear something like whatever Street Fighter 2, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want my game the most, but I'm gonna give that game 3 because whatever, or what you just hear another one where you're like, well. It's not that you don't believe in your own game. You're just like, well, that is legendary.
You're describing the system working.
This
That's
is the
system working.
You should come into the room planning to give your own game 3,
Okay.
but if someone else sways you, you give their game 3.
That's
Got
the
it.
system working.
Right, that's the system working.
One
Let's
clarification
vote, baby.
for chat.
Yeah.
I'm doing a preview window to tally up the votes and edit them. Chat will not see the results to the end.
Got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we gotta go
Okay.
one by one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Suspense.
then-
20 more seconds.
So
Suspense.
then
You're
I
gonna need
can-
20 more seconds. So Damiani, you're gonna do the thing again where we start at the bottom and then count up.
Huber, do you want to look at this?
He's taking
He's
a walk.
gone.
He's taking a walk.
At the bottom.
Huber
of the
gets
line.
Collecting
very
his
upset
thoughts.
about voting.
I'm ready,
very
dude.
intense
I'm ready.
for him.
Start with
Zero.
Everybody's
least amount of
upset.
votes.
It always is.
Everyone's upset.
Everyone's
You guys.
upset.
We are inducting all of these games into the Hall of Greats.
I'm not upset.
And you're
I'm
holding up
stressed.
fingers again,
Yeah, yeah,
like 3,
that's
2,
what
or
I
1.
mean.
So
Yeah.
So yeah,
Please raise
when we're holding up fingers, it's points.
But not
it's not
too
first
high
place, second place.
because-
It's
Points.
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 You're
Evil
awarding
Within
points.
2 is coming out in like less than 2 months.
Hall of Greats.
Hall of
The
Greats!
next one.
Everyone is clear on that, right? You're holding up points.
Yes.
3 points,
Yes.
not
Hold them so
third
the
place.
camera
Yeah.
can see. So
3
chat will
for
be my
first place.
safe
Hold them
card.
in front of your, like above your head.
Chat will call you out if you vote 3 twice or something.
Right, and and Damiani will tell us when to put your hands down. So
Yeah.
hold them up until he says
So I can
down,
count.
and make sure you say down. It's like werewolf.
Yes.
Make sure you say down on every one, even if it didn't get any votes.
Nice.
Are we ready?
Let's do it.
ready.
We're right.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. So
Villagers, close your eyes.
Following my
here we go. First up, Half-Life 2. Keep holding them up. You can put them down. You're good. Next up, Doom 2016. Keep them up. next up. Also, by the way, I realized chat can see your fingers, so holding your hands is worthless, but whatever. I'll still do it that way. Next up, The Last of Us. Keep them up. Okay, thank you. Before we move to the next one, I have a quick question. Kyle, you have not raised your hand or anything yet, right?
I have.
So you have a fist. So everyone keep your eyes closed. Kyle, can you just come here real quick?
Yeah.
Kyle, heads up, 7-Up.
I put up a clear finger. It was a clear finger.
Heads up, 7-Up.
Let's spoiler.
Okay. Then I actually did get yours.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He did get mine.
I was just making sure.
Oh,
Your hand is a little weird.
Okay.
What is
Thank you.
happening?
It's good. We are good.
Controversy!
What's with your hand?
Controversy.
All right.
Keep your hands
The
down if you're
system is
not voting.
broken.
Next up, Zelda Ocarina of Time. Keep them up. Okay. Next up, Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. Keep them up. Alright, next. Final Fantasy IX. Keep them up. Okay, you can put them down. Next up, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Put them down. Ha! Just realized chat doesn't know the answers because they don't see what I'm voting. Next up, Xenoblade Chronicles. Keep them up. Down, please. Next up, Portal. Keep them up. Down, please. All right. Those are the final votes. You may open your eyes. It's not on the screen yet. I'm going to hold this up. Chat. This is what I voted for. I wrote it down.
Damiani's proven he's being honest.
There you go. I don't know if you can read that.
I don't want to read
There you
chat
go.
'cause Don't look at chat. They're
Yeah,
gonna spoil it.
spoilers, dude.
Don't look at chat. Don't look at chat.
Oh, they're looking at. Yeah.
They don't know Damiani's though.
He just
She just showed them Damiani's.
I showed him mine. So here we go. Chat's gonna see what the results were now.
Okay.
Okay, and then you
now
can
they
tell
see the
us.
results, and I'm just gonna read the numbers. I haven't ordered them yet.
Read them from
We're
bottom
going
to
bottom
top.
to top,
Bottom
baby.
to top.
Bottom to top. Okay.
But wait, do you do the thing? What do they do in
Here we
funniest
go.
videos or the 31st? Never mind.
So there was a
Yeah, the
coming in
woman-
at last, and it's gonna fall victim to our.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna make it in red right now, being
Oh, no.
struck from the record books for 1 whole year.
Oh, no.
Doom 2016.
It's right.
Doom.
That's my favorite thing about the Zero thing. Is even the person who
Too many
brought it
big,
didn't vote
too
for
many
it.
big guns, dude.
Yeah, this is a heavy one.
Yeah, this one was intense.
Here's my stuff.
Yeah,
that is
too many big boys.
Coming in next with 2 votes. Jurassic Park Operation.
Wow, good looking. Oh wait, that was my 2 votes. All right.
Save from elimination, Ray.
Wait,
No,
no,
that's
no.
also
I
banned.
thought I thought that if you voted for your own, it was eliminated.
Oh, if you vote for your own, and that's all it
You
gets.
need points from someone else to say
elimination.
The
king.
rise and fall.
The king of elimination.
Join me in the
I
garbage.
forgot about that rule.
you're joining me.
I've
already been. You've been in it.
I almost threw in a vote just because of the presentation.
This is why we need alliances. This is why we need alliances.
The video was compressed.
All right, so it's read it out. It's read it out. All right. After that, coming in with 3 votes, not from the same person, Xenoblade Chronicles.
Woo!
Very nice. Hey.
Couple blood votes
I
there,
voted
sure.
1 for Xenoblade Chronicles.
I also voted.
Nice.
Oh.
I see that move as the beginning of a campaign for Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
In due time.
Testing the
Yeah.
water.
The fight is not yet finished.
It's only begun, in fact. It's only begun.
All right.
It was a good
Coming in
presentation.
next,
Better than Persona 5.
with 4 votes, which means it was voted on by more than just one person. The Last of Us.
I gave you some points, dude.
Oh.
Only one though, but
It's about
it's
right.
tough. It's
And
tough.
tied with 4
You
votes,
saved it, dude.
and also not
I get
eliminated
3,
because
bro.
more than one person voted for it. Portal.
Oh man,
Tied.
so low.
Yeah, wow.
Amazed.
So many good games.
I'm pretty surprised by that actually.
All right. Coming in next with 5 votes. Half-Life 2.
Alright, I'll take it.
Jones, can I tell
This
you
is
something?
stressing me
Yeah.
out.
I wasn't going to vote for Half-Life 2, but your answer to what is it about swayed me.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a good answer, dude.
Alright.
So we're down to the last 3.
Oh, no.
Third and second place were separated by 2 votes.
I'm freaking
Very
out.
close.
Top
freaking
2 make
out.
it, right?
The top two make it in.
So coming in third place with 9 votes,
Whoa.
ironically.
That's a big jump.
No! I gave it 2. I gave it 2 and tried.
I gave it 3.
Which means coming in at second place with 11 votes. Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yes.
Redemption.
Got it
Salty
in.
run back.
Yeah, salty run back. Got it in.
And coming in with a whopping 16 votes.
Oh, yeah.
Bow
First
down.
place,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bow down.
Ocarina of Time.
Best game
Out
ever
of-
made.
Happened.
Yeah.
Out of the way.
We had to get it in there.
Get the
Yeah, yeah,
easies
yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
way.
Good
Gotta
job.
get him out of the way.
How to get it in there?
Don't have to argue about it again. So
All
Ocarina
right,
of Time,
okay.
Symphony of the Night are your 2 new.
So
nice.
I considered
Very
Portal.
nice.
That was Portal.
So next time bring retro games and you'll make it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily
Damiani
retro
undefeated.
games. They're all within a span of like 4 years of each other.
Bring a game
97,
from 96 to
Yeah,
99.
but it's still retro
Yeah.
now.
But I mean, yeah, it feels good too because after like all of the freaking out about like, is my game even gonna get a vote or am I gonna be like bummed out for a whole year? Like when the dust clears and now we look back on those 6 and like those are 6 of the best games ever made. There's no question.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's nice to not just like
The system works.
you're like, well, we got to get the best of the most popular franchises in there. That like
Right.
we deliberately like we got in, we argued, we countered, we voted, and there we are, and we got presents.
So what's the
Too many good
what's
games.
the current Hall of Greats?
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah!
Super Metroid.
Woo!
Street Fighter 2.
Oof.
Always forget the 4th one.
Oh, you
Mario.
do?
Mario 64.
Come on, man.
Mario
So if you're
64.
made in Japan, you're in.
Yeah.
Cool.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
If you're on the
And
N64, the odds are good.
That's the easy A Hall of Greats, everybody.
6 games.
But like that's it for 64. 64 is not getting any more in.
Goldeneye, baby.
Goldeneye, baby.
Okay.
That's
all
not
right.
gonna get in.
All right.
Tanks, bro.
It's gonna be like a year or 2.
Yeah, that'll be
before
like number
Goldeneye goes in.
50.
Yeah.
Not made in Japan.
In Japan, dude.
My next pick will not be
I'm
a
just
64 game.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, Super Nintendo.
Damiani's got his next pick loaded.
My next game
I have no idea what I'm gonna pick next.
is Player Unknown's Battlegrounds.
Alright, I'm gonna go
I mean, my next probably would have been
Are we
Ocarina
gonna
of
go
Time.
cam shot without the list up anymore for the presents, or do you wanna?
Oh, for presents we can go full cam.
Okay.
Full
Oh, nice.
thing.
All of Greats is officially over. We made our inductions. Yep. One more time. One more time.
Well done.
Oh, someone mentioned the
great.
Ogre Battle 64, Ben.
Ooh,
We made
Ogre
it
Battle.
through.
Let us cling together.
I love that
PSP.
there is an ally requirement for this letter. Allies required: Jones, Huber, Kyle, Ben. So we can read it. Hello, allies.
Just wanted to take this opportunity to say how much you all mean to me. Your positivity is absolutely contagious, and I was so glad that you all continued on after GT. I still remember the first video I watched that got me hooked on the GT crew. The 2015 E3 betting special. And wow, what a time to start following GT. You all embody what I love about video games, and it's such a good feeling. I started my first full-time job a couple of months ago, and although I was nervous at first, you all made it easier for me because I know when I get home there's a new video, stream archive, or even just a funny tweet that'll put a smile on my face. I'm constantly replaying the newest episode of the Easy A podcast, which might seem a little strange, but just hearing that jingle in Kyle's intro just puts me at ease. I mostly lurk in Twitch chat, but I try to pipe in from time to time. Also, a quick thank you to Damiani. If it wasn't for him recommending a little game back at 2016 GOTY discussions, I would have never had the joy of playing Gravity Rush Remastered. Still need to play through the sequel, though. And thank you, Bloodworth, for all the behind-the-scenes stuff you take care of, like archiving the streams. Can't wait for the Souls Retro, as it has become my favorite series over the past years. Here's to year 2 of Easy Allies, and I can't wait to see how you all evolve in the coming years. Love and respect, Randy Puckett, 1 Casual on Twitch. P.S. Don't mind the out-of-season wrapping paper. It's all I had at the moment.
Nice.
Nice, thank
Don't
you.
judge a present by its
I
paper.
like that the two who got the shout out in the letter were not part of the requirements for the letter.
Yeah, so
Wizards of the
that's a
Present.
Jones.
You know what that is.
With a
That's an amiibo.
Yeah, that's an
That's an
amiibo
amiibo.
right there.
Let's all make a bet then. What amiibo do you think?
Yoshi or
oh, that's a
Villager.
soundtrack right there.
And there's, yep.
That's a Ben Morgan.
Gift for Kyle.
It could be a PS1 game, but that's a
PS1.
soundtrack.
We can fit 4
Gift
on
for
this
Ben.
couch.
I think Ben's about to crack a pack right there. That's my guess.
Cracking some magic
Game Boy
pack.
game or something.
Hello,
No,
Kyle.
this is a pack for
I'm Mr.
sure.
Michael Heber.
This is one of my favorite PS1 games. I'm not sure if you've played this, but I think it gets overlooked sometimes. I'm sure if it really holds up, but in my mind it does. Has one of my favorite alliances in a video game, might be good for a fun game Monday or just a quick playthrough in preparation for an upcoming game next year.
Ooh, context.
What could that
What
mean?
would it be?
Oh.
Break the seal.
The drama.
You're opening this like my dad.
Yeah. Save the paper.
Save the
Nope.
paper.
Oh,
Yeah,
now he's
now
now
it's
he's
over.
wrecked
It's
it.
over.
Great game.
Classic. Oh yeah.
Good stream.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Well
Yeah.
done. Great game.
Nice.
Good Stan Lee game.
Very, very good game.
What's yours say, Jones?
I'll jump up. Something for Jones, or you can give it to Huber if you have one already.
Probably has it.
It's hard to keep track of who has which, but I remember you saying you particularly enjoyed the function of this compared to others.
Okay.
Oh, so it's not a
Not as
function.
easy as I
Yoshi
thought.
existed.
The function. Oh, nice! Yeah! Thank you very much.
What is it? Oh,
Yeah.
Wolf Lane.
It's a good one.
I didn't know they sell them solo. I thought you had to get
Yeah,
one.
They did that later on.
I will give this to Mr. Huber because I borrow my wife's amiibo
Nice.
because
Yo,
Amanda
very
immediately
nice.
ran
I'm
out.
not even trolling.
And bottle the
Wolf
other
Link is my absolute favorite.
There you go.
Like in Zelda, I played Twilight Princess, like 90% wolf form.
Until Bear Link.
Bear Link. Breath of the Wild DLC. Bear Link.
Beer Link.
Love Wolf Link. Open your
What
gift.
you got, man?
Huber, get up
Huber.
here.
The way you talk about video games is truly inspiring. I've never seen someone with so much unbridled passion for something they love. Also, because of you, I've discovered how powerful media blackouts can be. I feel I've gotten such a better experience with new things because I avoided spoilers. Also, because of your hype and excitement after E3, I played through The Evil Within. Don't know if you remember me tweeting you about it. My first survival horror game, and I'm very much looking forward to The Evil Within 2 now. By the time you get this, your birthday would have passed, and happy birthday. I hope you had a great one. And I hope you have a hype-filled rest of 2017. I'm still holding out for Shenmue 1 and 2 HD. I've never played them, and it'll be great to catch up before 3. Enjoy these, and hopefully they fit.
Ooh, close.
These, plural. Oh, boy.
I like shirts.
Wearable axes.
Bear shirts.
Oh, baby.
Oh, we got shirts.
Whoa.
Oh, we got shirts.
Oh my god.
What do we have?
Oh my
man,
goodness.
that's a good one.
That's
This
a real good one.
is insane.
Oh,
Oh my, you guys.
Wow.
so good.
That's really good.
That is very
Oh
good.
my goodness.
That is a
Beautiful.
very good shirt.
Wow. And then,
Oh,
of
that's
course,
a goodie.
my favorite organization of all time,
My favorite organ is.
That's cool.
Nice. Thank you so much.
That's so good.
What you got, Ben?
Mine says, "Hello, Ben. I just want to give you a big shout out for all that you do. I appreciate all your hard work that you've done since the start of Easy Allies, from Frame Trap to your reviews. I can feel your true passion whenever you're talking about games. I don't play many JRPGs, but because of your reverence for Persona 5, I really want to give it a shot before the end of the year, as well as Yakuza 0 and Kiwami. Still working on my backlog myself, and I want to give Xenoblade 2 a shot as well. I hope you have a peachy rest of 2017, and thanks for all that you do."
Nice. Nice.
All right.
Peachy. Princess Peachy.
I don't know what this is.
Not in a foil case.
Senran Kagura trading cards!
Oh no.
Ben, does it have all the Senran Kagura girls?
I believe it is a curated selection.
Oh, okay.
I gotta show these off.
Peggy 18.
Dude, Min is the best. One of the best companion characters.
Did you check them for content?
Oh, okay.
Oh, NSFW, dude.
No, it did. Yeah, that's FW.
Yeah, SFW. You never know with Senran Kagura, dude. Might get a little slip.
Do you ever think we'll see a sequel to a Zelda game again? Like a true sequel? Like a Twilight Princess? Think that'll
This
ever
one's a
happen?
sequel to
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
All right.
Yeah, we got like a fair amount.
So this is not addressed to anybody,
Okay.
but it's pretty sweet.
Jones
So
wants
what
it.
are we doing here?
Jones
What are we doing?
wants it.
No.
House rules.
If it's too nice, it can't be a tournament prize, but like we can
It's not too nice.
We can
It's
share
just
it.
sweet.
tournament prize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Cool.
man.
So the next
Fun with it,
winner
Johnny.
of the Easy Allies tournament will
How about
get
second place.
these
Second place.
Snorlax slippers.
What's the next tournament game? I'm practicing now.
Oh, man.
What is our next
We're
tournament?
doing Hearthstone, boys!
That's Brad's favorite Pokemon.
It is-
man.
Yeah, that's true. It is Brad's favorite Pokemon.
Brad.
Yeah, and the note says, nothing shows love and respect like a pair of Snorlax slippers that make snoring noises while you wear them.
What?
Would be super jolly if you or one of your significant others stuck your feet in these warm Snorlax bellies for me. Love and respect, your pal, VG Junkie. Thank you, VG Junkie.
Oh yeah.
He's amazing.
That's a great gift.
What is it at the Oh, yeah.
Guess I gotta fight for him.
You gotta fight for him, Brad.
Gotta earn it.
Got it in the
Oh
bag.
wait, you hear that?
Hey, play the sound.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
I wish I was good at any game. So we could win.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Running Talos Principle.
Yeah.
That's a
Talos Principle is the next.
You have to record your whole playthrough.
Yeah.
Of
Pretty cool
on the day of
stickers.
the tournament.
Got a little tattoo there. Yeah.
We just watch the videos on screen.
I love that idea.
Speed through.
So who got in? So you got. So Ian, just
I got
take
first
us
time.
out, man. You did it. You won.
Okay.
You got Symphony of the Night's in. You never have to worry about it.
And
Just took
Damian
2 attempts.
Undefeated. Damian is undefeated.
It's gonna take me.
Calculated
It's gonna take me
Damian,
5 times to get Goldeneye in. 5 times. Just putting
Well,
that out
thank
there.
you everyone for joining us for this, the third of our Hall of the Greats induction ceremonies. I know we had a lot of fun. It didn't get too unruly, I think. It was very respectful.
Which picked some good games.
Yeah.
Man.
It was a tough choice. Tough choice.
The side quest being garbage talk was a little rough.
Oh.
But other than that,
Yeah, leave it to Blood to throw real shade, you know?
Right at the end, too.
I love
You
it.
waited until there was no time to answer.
He had those sending things for like
Not
40
really.
minutes.
I
either.
just kept trying to get in, and someone would say something.
but I love the question being asked like you're in like school,
Not
like you're
banned.
like to your professor in college.
Yeah,
But
not
you
banned. I
just-
voted for it.
But you so you're very eloquent, you know. But you just
Yeah.
throw in the word garbage,
Yeah.
you know. Just like, what do you think?
What was the phrasing?
I
at the
find that
beginning?
garbage.
It's
What do
like,
you think?
How do you defend or like?
Can you admit? I
Can
think
you
I said.
admit it?
Can you at least admit that it is garbage?
I'm also a big fan.
And I saw this happen way more tonight than previous nights. And
I love that game.
I want to try to make it happen, but I like the deliberate question you know they won't have time to answer negatively right at the end.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you think about that crap level? Oh, we're out of time.
Oh, sorry. Oh, the faces are garbage. Oh, sorry. But anyway, we are Easy Allies. If this is your first time joining us, we do all kinds of crazy stuff like this. We stream group streams every Tuesday night of every week. I don't know why I said that. If you would like to support us, the best way to do that is on patreon.com/easyallies. But you can also follow us here on twitch.tv/easyallies, which you're already on, so you probably know about that one. EasyAllies.com has a really handy, really cool schedule that shows you everything we're doing in your own time zone. And then we have 2 YouTube channels, youtube.com/easyallies, which has our shows and all that kind of good stuff, podcasts and everything. And then youtube.com/easyalliesplays, which is where all of the Twitch archives end up and things like that. So yeah, follow us on everything. Tell your friends. And thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for all the subs.
Bye.